R2V2 is back for 2 huge days. Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th at Cliff Breakers on West Riverside. Featuring retro games in a playable arcade and museum, esports tournaments, vendors with your favorite gaming merch, and so much more. Plus, your ticket gets you into the after party with live bands playing classic video game tunes. Only at the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention. So come on out, you freaking nerds. Let's make this happen. October 12th and 13th. Get tickets and more info at thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2 and thexrockford.com.
Hello there, Gaming Outsiders. This week, Zach, Jacob, and I answer questions from the community, and there's quite a few that have nothing to do with video games. In news, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed until next year. Jake tells us about his experience with Earth Defense Force 6. I played The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Mark stops by to tell us about Phantasia Lost and Drive Rally. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or on our Discord server, which you can find a link for that in the very show notes for this episode. We've also got a community at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We would love if you joined any of those. But today is Tuesday, October 1st. I'm your host, Scott Clark.
With me, as always, is my good friend, Zach Parkerson.
I almost did it. I almost did it.
He almost Ron Burgundied. The arsonist was so apropos.
I almost started reading it before I realized that...
I feel like we should keep this in and you should finish what you were...
No, I'm going to start this over. Kevin is gleefully listening to this right now. Kevin, I almost 100% just went for it. I started reading it. I'm not going to say it because he wants it for an audio clip to put on TikTok. I almost said it, but I did not say it. He basically wanted me to say that I liked a certain platform better than another.
But the Genesis is better than the Super Nintendo.
That is debatable.
I
actually argued for the Genesis on that podcast I was on yesterday.
Gamer Gridge.
I said that the Genesis version of Aladdin was better than the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Genesis got blast processing. Come on now.
It's like, okay, let's try this again, shall we?
Good luck, dude. Shout out to Kevin for doing that.
Yeah, that was pretty clever because I almost read it.
Yeah.
I almost read it. It's okay. I fumbled the intro anyways. Let's try this again. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server that we've got. There's a link for that in the show notes of this very episode. It's Tuesday, October 1st. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, Mr. Zach Parkerson. What's up?
It's the beginning of the most popular month.
It's getting to become the most popular month.
What else could possibly top October?
I mean, April, the birth of Scott Clark.
Right, as the nation celebrates the rise of Clark.
Or, June, the start of the Gaming Outsider. I'm just saying those are popular months. Zach, it is good to see you, man. It's been a week since I've talked to you, but...
sure, that's true.
CB is not available. He's working. Alyssa's not available. So we decided to bring back one of the hardest working Go members, Mr. Jacob Gunderson. Jake, how you doing, man?
It's the spooky month.
Jake also likes October. He's got a good reason for liking October.
Most people do, right? I mean, it's awesome.
My dad
Well, he's
died.
got a really good reason.
Is it his birthday?
No. His anniversary is on Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Someone will catch what I said in the show. It'll be fine.
As long as everything is spooky season.
Mm-hmm.
We heard you. If everything goes well, my anniversary will be the 13th of October.
There you go. 10/13/24.
Congratulations.
And then,
Also known as R2V2 Day.
That's probably not what I'll be thinking of it as. But I'm just saying, eventually it'll end up being a Friday the 13th, right? That'll be cool.
Eventually, yeah, that'll be good. In October, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So, I got to give a shout out to Jake. Not only has he been killing it, putting things together for R2V2, he was out delivering posters and banners and flyers and stuff yesterday and today. but he also experienced what it's like to be a DJ at a high school this past weekend. I had a gig I had to cover, and he agreed. He's shaking his head right now because I think I traumatized him. Why don't you tell everybody what you thought of that experience?
No, never again. I'm not reliving it. This isn't therapy. I don't pay you enough for this.
Wow, he's therapy for this. Were they yelling about skibbity toilets or whatever the hell kids do now?
No. The issue was
sicko mode really bad.
They wanted us to play a song that we could not play. It was a religious school that had very strict rules about what we could play and couldn't play, and they wanted 4 hours of music, which in DJ dance world is a long time when you have all the music you can play.
Right.
It was very, very stressful because we had them coming up. They would come up to us and ask us to play a song, and we were instructed to tell them to go talk to the dorm supervisors, get them to say it's okay. So we would have a kid ask for a song.
Mm-hmm.
They'd go ask the dorm supervisor. The dorm supervisor would come up and say, okay, that's fine to play that. You can totally play that song. So we get it all queued up, ready to go, and then the dorm supervisor would come up and say, hey, we looked at the lyrics. You can't play that song anymore.
So it's not okay.
So we got to like scramble, and then it was just very, very stressful. And then on the top of it, they like half of the kids had to leave a half hour early. So I was told to like end that last half hour with like your best stuff, and then do whatever for the last half hour. So that last half hour was garbage because we had nothing left to play.
I guess you could just play the stuff you already played.
We ended with a song we already played, and they booed us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You were booed by high schoolers?
I mean, not literally booed, but they were like, you already played that. It was
that's
rough,
funny as
hell.
Well,
It was really sad because Stacy's mom was too vulgar to play, but Crank That by Soulja Boy was okay.
Yeah.
But she's got it going on.
I know.
Right.
She's all I want. I've waited for so long.
It was an interesting experience. I don't think Jake will ever do it again with me, but I don't have any gigs lined
sure
up.
As hell wouldn't.
I don't think you're supposed to be doing it again.
I'm not supposed to, although I got a text from a friend asking me if I do a wedding in June, so we'll see how that goes.
You already have an NES library.
I know, but I got an R2V2 to pay for, so that's how things go.
Fingers crossed it pays for itself.
Yeah, right. All right, well,
I'm trying,
let's get
damn it.
This is a video game podcast after all. Jake, you are our guest. Why don't you tell us what you've been catching up on this week?
Oh, God, what am I catching up on? What did I write down?
You wrote Warframe.
I did. Okay, that's what it is. So I'm back at Warframe because I don't know if anyone actually plays Warframe. They know what it does, and they've unvaulted a certain type of gun and stuff, and I have been grinding my butt off trying to get the relics to open up to get the pieces of this gun, and thankfully this time I got it. So I've been trying.
Was it out of fear that it was going to get revaulted?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
they gotcha.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to get this gun for probably 7 years, and it's just so hard to get the pieces for it to do it before it gets revaulted.
So you're a big Warframe guy.
I've probably got 2,000 hours in that game and 400 consecutive days played.
Good.
Wow.
Lord.
I think I played it for like 20 hours. So it's like 1% of what you did. It's a fun game though. The core gameplay is incredible.
Yeah. I like the developers too because they try to keep things alive and fresh and all that kind of stuff. Actually, Warframe did one of my favorite things. In the beginning of the game, players found a exploitable glitch that you could do to travel faster, and instead of making it harder to travel in game, they added that exploit as an actual move set. And so by default, you have all these characters that were trying to do things that were a little hinky, and now it's just commonplace. Now it's got a name and everything, and it's built in there and it has its own animation now.
And you're right. Most other developers would shut that down immediately.
Yeah. And they swerved into the skid.
That's super cool, actually. Yeah.
The other one I have there, I'm not actually playing, but I'm watching my wife play it. We used to play Don't Starve together, and she rocks at the game, and I don't know how she does it, but she's put probably as many hours into that game as I did in Warframe. So
wow.
Shout out to her for being a psycho in Don't Starve. But I love Don't Starve. I love the animation of it. I love the whole building things and the little cute things that are actually deadly, and just the darkness of the game overall.
Yeah, I couldn't stand that goddamn game, but
I couldn't either.
But I know lots of people. I love the look of it. Like, everything about the aesthetic and the kind of weird, I don't know, what do you like, cut out characters, kind of papercrafty kind of world. Everything's cool about it. Just no thank you to the loop.
Yeah, that's not my style either. Although I didn't give it much of a fair shake, but it did not grab me at the beginning. But I'm glad she's enjoying it.
Right.
Zach, how about you?
Well, I wanted to briefly talk about Hunt Showdown again, only because I completed the battle pass for this event. And,
my goodness.
That's not something I commonly do at all.
Another battle pass?
For Hunt Showdown. Yeah. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. What a game. What a tremendous game.
Are you getting good?
You know what? I'm okay.
You're okay?
I still don't think I'm good, because for me, the measurement of good is a 1.0 KDR, and I'm at 0.98. So I'm almost good, Scott. But until I get there, I just can't qualify. They brought the Bayou map back, though, so that's cool. One of them, anyway, because there's 3. I still haven't fought the frickin' alligator monster. I want to fight that thing. But yeah, incredible. Just an unbelievable game. Keep playing it.
I'm really glad you're digging that, man. I was not expecting you to love that game. I should have assumed, considering the aesthetic.
Well, yeah, but pushing past the aesthetic is an incredibly robust game.
Yeah,
with so much to consider at all times, and very, very slow paced game, which kind of takes me back a little bit to playing Rainbow Six or Splinter Cell Online, which I used to play a lot when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not a lot of stealth forward multiplayer games on the market right now.
That's a really good point.
So, so I'm definitely digging it. I'm playing more Caravan Sandwich. Stupid name. But the game is very good, very cozy time. It seems incredibly short, which is good.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be like 6 hours to 100% it.
Wow.
Which is very, very condensed, which is interesting for what is ostensibly an open world experience. But I'm really liking the characters. A lot of the arcs come together. Everybody loves each other. It's a very nice, feel good experience. So I'm glad I'm going to end it before all the murders and gore of October begin.
You said 6 hours?
Yeah, 6 hour. You had to
that's nowhere near enough.
That's what I said. It's a short game. No doubt, maybe like 7 or 8 if I wanted to get all the trophies, and we'll see how I feel about it. But I'm doing all of the side quests, and I'm on the last chapter at 5 hours and 15 minutes. So doesn't seem like it's going to push much past 6. So if anybody wants a condensed experience, Caravan Sandwich is a way to go.
There you go.
And then Wild Bastards, I am almost done with. I have all of the bastards.
Finally.
So all 13 characters are rounded up, and it has a neat twist. It is a twist that involves clever wordplay. So I think, Scott, you would appreciate the twist just for that alone as a writer. But
okay.
but it is very, now that we have everyone together, the way it is getting towards its conclusion is very exciting, which is super cool.
That's awesome, man.
And it's kind of making you play the game a little bit differently here in the last stretch, where you have to keep certain characters alive for the end of the sector, and then only they can go on that planet or whatever.
Right.
So it kind of forces you to get comfortable with everybody in an interesting way. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving the hell out of this game, no doubt.
Very cool, man. I'm happy. That's like 2 Zack games, just like right.
yeah. I guess that's true.
As from
talk about losing your life, though, Scott, I assume.
Yeah. I can't decide if this was a good idea or a mistake, but I mentioned it last week, but I did purchase Balatro on iOS, and I have never been so happy to have spent $10 on a thing on my phone before. I am right back into the thick of Balatro. Everybody has heard me talk about it, so I won't go into too much length on this, but I will say, to answer, and if anybody is curious, this game does save your progress if you stop in the middle of a run. So you you can rest assured it's not going to be an issue. I even actually killed my battery in the middle of a run, and when I finally got a charge back in my phone, I was up to speed. I will recommend, if you do play this on your phone, turn off the vibrations, because it is a battery sucker.
Yeah.
It will kill your battery, because it does like a vibration for every card picked, and whenever you shuffle the cards and everything like that, it just it does that. So
I saw the developer tweeting out that maybe it's not your battery life, maybe you're just playing the game longer than you think you are.
Maybe.
which I thought was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
He was playing it while we were driving to the show, which was scary.
While you were driving? While you were driving to the show.
Well, scary because it was so distracting.
No, I was playing it on my phone in between bands when we went to that concert on Friday. I was in like the second row at a metal concert, and I got my phone up, and everybody thought I was playing solitaire. The kids were making fun of me.
Oh, really?
Old man's playing solitaire. No, it's Balatro. Get it right.
Yeah, dude. So this is a man's card game. Thank you.
Yeah. It works so well on iOS, though, that I feel like I'm going to struggle to go back to a controller. Genuinely. Like, the touch stuff just works so well. So, obviously, you touch the cards to pick which ones you want to select to either play or discard. But on console, when you, like, select a card to, either destroy a card, use a card or whichever, they mitigate that on iOS by you just hold down your finger on the card and then drag it to either use or drag it to destroy or drag it to purchase or whatever.
Okay.
And it works very, very slick. Like it feels like it makes the process go quicker, which doesn't make any sense.
I was gonna say I actually sometimes hit the wrong button when I'm playing too fast on console, so that might actually keep me in check.
Yeah. It like the things you drag them to are very starkly contrasted in color, which may be an issue for you. I don't know, but it's still going to be difficult to drag a thing to buy when you wanted to write buy and use. You know what I mean? So, the controls are just super slick. And I was also worried about starting over because clearly I can't bring over my save from Xbox. But dude, you should just go check it out because I'm having so much fun. Knowing what I know now about how the game works, I feel like I'm flying through victories. Where it took me forever to get that first victory because I was still learning how the game worked.
Right.
Now I have a good grasp of it, and the earlier levels are so easy, and I don't necessarily have all of those super high powerful cards that are available to me like you unlock. But I'm still like first play, I won. Like,
what? Oh yeah, you sent me a screenshot of it. Yeah.
Like I was like, I just won the first one and like by a lot. And then like I leveled up flushes to 25. I don't know what's the highest you've ever done that, but I was like on a roll. I actually quit the endless mode when the chip count was up to 7.2 million. That's how good that like second or third run I did was. So it is fun. It's not rough starting over. It actually feels kind of fun to do that. So that's all I will say. But Balatro, it's so much fun that, normally when I go to bed, I roll over on my side and I'm watching a movie on my phone, falling asleep to a movie. It's now Balatro. I'm like trying to get in a roll of Balatro.
Is it keeping you up late?
Not as much because I'm getting tired earlier these days because I'm so busy.
Old.
So it's more like it's more like one round and then okay, now I'll put a movie on. And then I fall asleep in 5 minutes of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
But getting that one more round of Balatro in is, I'm squeezing it in anytime I can. If I get 5 minutes, I'm going to start one up, and then I have an excuse to keep playing. Game is so good. Also, I did play some Baldur's Gate 3 with Kevin this weekend, but we only got, seriously, it was like 2 or 3 hours. The gig on Saturday that Jacob and I went to, it was in Wisconsin, so we didn't get home until like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was supposed to be up at 6 to play with Kevin. And I woke up at 6 and I said, dude, I can't do it. I got to go back to sleep. So we didn't get started until probably like 8 or 8:30 or something. So we didn't get a full-time end. But we basically, remember how like I'm like right on the cusp of Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
Like it's right there. It's right there. We came across this gate and it's guarded by...
Baldur's Gate?
It's guarded by these guards, which Kevin explained to me are kind of like the quote-unquote police of the Baldur's Gate world. He said it wasn't a great word to describe them, but they basically wanted to read my mind before allowing me into Baldur's Gate. And I let them do it, and they have this giant metal creature called a construct. It just looks like a giant suit of armor. And so I let this thing read my mind, and they're like, oh, he's killed people. This is probably not going to be a good idea. So I now have the option to either try to talk my way out of this, roll for persuasion kind of thing, or just fight. And Kevin laughed at me because my response was, F it, let's fight. So we fought them. So we fought all these guys, including this giant construct with a massive sword, and took them out, and then proceeded to walk into the city and run into more of this group of people that are policing the entrance to Baldur's Gate, and they're just completely fine with me. I needed to roll a 30 on something, and I had enough perks and everything, and I think I rolled a 19, and that with my perks was enough to get to me to 30. So I was able to talk my way into this area, and then all of a sudden all these people, all these constructs, and all of these other guys who I just killed their buddies were completely fine with me. So, like, I'm still not in Baldur's Gate proper, but it's like right. I can smell it.
Yeah.
At this point, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I had to leave and we had to wrap up, so that's about as far as I got. But I'm getting there, guys. It's getting. The problem is the way this game is organized. Is there's a whole bunch of quests that you can just miss out on. Like if you go into Act 3, you can't go back to Act 2. You can't go do those quests in Act 2 again. So you really have a point of no return with all of this stuff. But I feel like almost all of my side quest log right now is meet up with so-and-so in Baldur's Gate. Search for this in Baldur's Gate. Right. And I keep putting them off because I want to do all the other stuff first, and I'm just ready now. I just want to go and get all these, because I feel like my experience points are just going to go through the roof after I get all these quests that I've been putting off. Put them to bed finally. But
the 70-hour build-up to Baldur's Gate in the video game named Baldur's Gate.
Right.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I am up to over 80 now, by the way, which is nuts. Absolutely loving that game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. All right, we got a couple new trailers to talk about. G.I. Joe, Wrath of the Cobra, coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC September 26th, and it'll come to PC later, sometime in the future. We also got a trailer for DLC for TMNT Shredder's Revenge called Radical Reptiles. It's actually available right now on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. And we finally got a trailer for The Last of Us Part 2, the HBO television series. Also, this was kind of a surprise. Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed. Blizzard is apparently trying to make a shooter set in the StarCraft universe. California also this week made an interesting ruling in regards to digital games. Jacob, you are technically our guest, although you were a member of the Gaming Outsider. Why don't you pick the first story you want to talk about?
Let's do Blizzard.
Okay.
So they're making a first-person shooter apparently earlier this year. Not to cut off anybody who wants to actually know about the story, but some lone developer actually developed a first-person StarCraft shooter and put it online for anyone to play for free. It's called StarCraft Marine. Looks pretty cool. Kind of looks like a Doom kind of game, horde shooter. But I feel like Blizzard is kind of following the footsteps of Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer released a game called Renegade back in like 2002 or something, and it was their first attempt at a first person shooter that never lived long enough to actually see a second or a third or anything. But StarCraft has a huge following behind it, and that should be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say here. I don't care about StarCraft. I don't care about Blizzard. This means nothing to me. I do think it's funny that Jason Schreier said that the book was about Blizzard's past, but it's got future in the title, but whatever.
I thought the same thing.
I don't really understand what he's trying to do there. Other than, of course, make all the publicity rounds he can to sell his book.
I did reach out. He did not respond to me when I asked him to come talk about his book, so I tried.
Well, okay, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I don't know about you. I mean, StarCraft Ghost always looked cool as hell, but it also, looked very stealth focused because you were a ghost. You were turning invisible.
Don't you like stealth?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so StarCraft Ghost I always saw looked really good,
Mhm.
but I just don't care about StarCraft. I always wanted to, but
I did too. I'm not very good at RTSs, and after hearing how, I don't know, I used to listen to how people in Korea play StarCraft, and I just got so intimidated about like they're talking about like ways to navigate things to shave off milliseconds of like time or whatever to make things run faster, and I was like, I am never going to be able to compete to that level.
I'm too OCD to succeed at competitive RTS because I need my bases to be in like a straight line or setup or whatever.
So when I was in college going for this, I ran into a lot of competitive gamers, and one of them was a Command and Conquer competitive gamer. And
I remember Command and Conquer, yeah.
I thought I was pretty good at the game, and so we were joking one day, and it was like we set it up, and it was a PvP contest, and see who would win. And he was like, "Give me 5 minutes," and he went through and touched a bunch of stuff in the controllers and the settings and all that nonsense. And we started the game, and he pushed 3 buttons and won. And I was like, what did you do? And he, all of its hotkeys and all of his, control alt delete and all that nonsense and, copy paste and whatnot. He was setting all that stuff up. So he knew what to do just by pushing buttons. And that's how all those RTS games are played professionally. They're set up with console commands first, and then they just run through the thing and have to click one thing to tell where the troops to go. And then the troops just run in there constantly.
It's like you put a recipe together, like a Minecraft recipe, and then you just press one button and it makes.
That does not sound fun.
No, it doesn't.
In StarCraft, it's actually called Zerg.
Zerg Rush?
Yeah, Zerg rushing.
That was the last time I played StarCraft, is I played against somebody and he Zerg rushed me, which is like these giant carriers that have these swarms of things flying around them. And I remember because he was like invading my base, and we had chat going on, like a there's a text box or whatever, and he's like complimenting me on my. He was being genuinely nice. He wiped the floor with me, but he's like, no, you got. He was trying to encourage me to keep playing the game. He didn't want to just wipe the floor with me, even though he just did. Like, no, this is really good structure you got over here, and what you did over here is nice. And I never touched the game again.
Yeah. I always like the story of StarCraft was interesting. With was it Jim Raynor, I think, is the main character, and
a space trucker.
Kerrigan was always cool, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a PC gamer. StarCraft.
But if there was like if they put a shooter in that universe on console for you to play, would you play? Would you be interested?
I might check it out. It would really depend, I guess. I know. Speaking of Command and Conquer, they had a shooter that looked really cool. I think called Tiberium Wars or something like that back in the day, but that got canceled. But it had a Game Informer cover. But it always looked kind of cool. But it obviously was murdered by Electronic Arts.
That's how it goes.
A lot of things have been.
Yeah.
What about you, Zach?
Well, I do want to get to this California news. But, G.I. Joe Wrath of the Cobra, as a very recent G.I. Joe fan due to the new comics, I'm intrigued. I don't like beat 'em ups really, so I'm going to need someone to play with. But what's up with the licensed beat 'em up revival that's going on?
Yeah, how much can you do with that formula, right? I mean, there's so many of these games. What can you bring fresh to it?
Right.
But this one looks kind of cool, and I don't have the recent love for G.I. Joe like you do, and I still think this looks really cool.
I should send you the comics, man. I think you would be.
Yeah,
they're pretty bloody, which is cool.
Which is crazy because it was a cartoon on like after school cartoon, right?
The more you know.
Well, I mean, the first issue, Scarlet had a miniseries, and in her first issue, it dealt with sex trafficking.
Wow.
For for an action figure comic. So I'm saying is, they're writing for the people that grew up with G.I. Joe, I think. But anyway, the game looks cool. I don't know when it's coming to consoles, but someday. But California, they're making some interesting decisions regarding digital purchases. Because as we all know, when you buy a game digitally, you're not actually buying the game, right? You're buying a license to play the game.
You're renting it. Yeah.
Right, at an exorbitant fee. But to combat this, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a new law that forces digital storefronts to disclose that you are merely paying for a license to experience games, movies, music, and books and not actually owning them. If the disclosure is not given, they are not allowed to use the words buy or purchase on their store. The law doesn't go into effect until next year, and it won't affect sites that offer permanent offline options to consumers. And to be clear, this won't stop retailers from taking away access. It will just merely force them to disclose to consumers what they're actually paying for. I find it interesting what disclosure means in this scenario, because if it's just fine print, I feel like that changes really nothing.
Right.
But, I think this is a good step.
It should be something like where when you go to click buy, it says disclosure.
Right.
Paying for this, you are paying for a license to play this game. You could potentially, you know what I mean? Like if we could put things on cigarette containers that says, Surgeon General warning.
It's like the publisher reserves the right to revoke your license at any time. Right.
Right.
So like that, yeah.
It shouldn't even say buy or purchase. Those words are misleading. You don't buy a leased vehicle, you lease it.
Right. I concur. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like if you make that kind of legal language, then now California's probably going to get sued by Sony or something, right? It's going to turn into a huge thing. So I think
buy is still okay because technically you're not buying the game, you were buying the license.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I guess.
And a license can last for a certain amount of time, which is
then there needs to be a contract. There needs to be a contract written.
Well, yeah, isn't that what those EULAs are?
I'm starting to work. Kind of. It's an agreement between you and them for actions taken while playing the game or online with the game, but there's no contract that usually dignifies or brings up the idea of the actual purchase itself. So your actions are monitored while you have the game or on the game, but not before or during the process of buying the actual game. So you don't agree to anything before you buy it, but the act of buying shouldn't just be a lease. If it's a buy, it should be a permanent thing.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, even if they wanted to do that, they can't do that, right? They can't guarantee that they're going to have that game available to download if you get another console in the future, or your console gets destroyed and you want to re-upload that game on there. There's no guarantee they're going to have that.
Well, that's a thing with like PlayStation. They've got different stores for each console. You have a PS3 store, 4 store, and a 5 store. So no, they can't guarantee that you can download in the future. But if you go back to the other store, or you already have it downloaded, you should still be able to access that game. The idea that they can go into your console and remove that game from a downloaded ID or prevent you from playing it is the part that everyone's against. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have the access to your system like that to go in and prevent you from actually playing a game
that would be like
you've already bought.
The equivalent would be like you owned a physical version of a game and they come to your house and take it off your shelf and take it back home.
Yeah.
It's really what they're doing if your console is connected to the internet.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what they did with Concord, right? They removed it from people's library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and then people who didn't pay for it, like game journalists and people who got codes, it was revoked from their license, or it was removed from their library as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's great. Yeah. It's a lot of power they got going on.
Yeah. And they can do it with any game at any point because of the agreements that they have with the people who buy stuff.
Right.
Again, that's what I'm saying. They shouldn't be allowed to say buy or purchase if you're going to hold the power to remove my game at any point, it needs to be some kind of rent or lease.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would be an interesting way to go about it, honestly. I mean, Game Pass is kind of that, right? It's a subscription model. You have access to that for a specific predetermined amount of time. I mean, would you rent a game? Like if you got like access to this one game for 2 months and it only costs you $20 as opposed to buying it for 60, and I say buying in quotes, like could that be a potential model where like, because that'd be a way for me to go, honestly. Like there are games where if I can rent it digitally for a couple months for $20, blast through it, complete it if I get through games quickly, and then I paid a third of the cost, and then still have the option to like pay for it down the road if I want to. But
I don't think so, because personally, with World of Warcraft, I didn't want to pay the subscription, so I stopped playing it after about the first month. But Warframe, like I just talked about earlier, I've been playing that game for 7 years. It's been downloaded on my console for 7 years. I don't want to pay every month or every 2 months to have that game just downloaded. If I, that game's a free to game play anyway. But if I were to buy any other game and have it just downloaded, like Factorio, I've had for almost a decade downloaded. I bought that game however many years ago for like $30. I don't want to pay every month to keep that game running on my PC.
Right. Well, presumably in Scott's scenario, you would rent it, learn you love it, then buy it, right? I assume that's what he was getting at.
Rent to own.
Right. Yeah.
Rent a center for games now.
I mean, it's an interesting idea, Scott. I know they tried it on PS3. What you're talking about?
Oh, did they?
Where they had I think it was a 7, 14, or 30-day rental you could make for games. But the mere fact that you had to be reminded of it probably shows you how successful it was. Although that was a very long time ago.
Right.
I mean, that was GameFly.
Yeah. Well, they're still in business.
I only hear of GameFly when I hear of them having sales of getting rid of their stock. Like I don't personally know anybody that still rents from GameFly.
I mean, I had a trial either earlier this year or maybe late last year, and it was whenever like the most recent Modern Warfare came out, I think.
Oh, is that how you played it?
Yeah, I think so. And it just takes so long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're used to downloading it and complaining about how it took 20 minutes to download this game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then you gotta wait days and days for it to come in the mail.
But you have to because they won't ship you your next game until they get that game back.
Right.
Right. So
it's not like you put it in the mail, scan something on your phone, and then we see that you put that in the mail. We're gonna send it the next one while you're waiting.
Now I guess you can earn your way in if you're a member for 3 months or something like that. Then they let you do that.
Oh, okay.
But you have to earn your way there. But I remember that's how Netflix worked, right? Or you would have 2 discs out or whatever back in its day. And that wasn't that bad because you were kind of churning through things. But I guess they're probably so niche now they could never pull that off.
No, I mean, you're talking about physical things too. But I'm thinking digital,
right.
I mean,
I understand
at that
digital rentals. I think digital rentals are something I would like to see tried out personally. Just an experiment.
Yeah, I would as well. I mean, if you game share with somebody, which I'm still fuzzy on how these companies feel about that.
Depends on the company.
Right. So, that's $30 or $35 if you're getting a $70 game.
Xbox is pretty. They're actually open about game sharing, right?
Well, I mean, they have a family plan now, don't they?
Yeah.
Where you can actually
because I know PlayStation, it's against terms of service to game share, but
right,
yeah, I don't think it is an Xbox.
Steam has something that's a family plan thing or whatever, but you can't both play the same game at the same time. If my family member was going to play it, I would be unable to play that game.
Right, unless you had 2 copies of it.
Yeah,
yeah, two uses of the license or whatever. Also, don't they restricted by zip code or state or something?
I think it's IP address.
Oh yeah. Wow! So they're pretty serious about it. You better be in that family.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Hulu messaged me, I think it was last year, and said if I don't get rid of some of the things on my IP address that I was going to lose connectivity with them. And so I called them and was like, well, I've got 4 people all running 2 or 3 devices that have Hulu. Like, what's going on? Oh, we're just making sure that there's not a VPN that's everyone's using Hulu all at the same time. And so I was about to get blacklisted from Hulu.
Ridiculous.
We tried that. Remember, Zach? I tried to share my Hulu with you at one point, and
oh yeah, because it was. I think it was because you had live TV on your account,
probably,
and so it wouldn't let me do it from afar. That's all right.
Which, yeah,
rude.
It's just everything is a racket, but
yeah, they're getting you. But anyway, step in the right direction is what I'm saying about the California law.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just the start. I feel like it'll be. We're going to see more things like this in the future, and rightly so.
As we get younger politicians who actually understand the internet.
Yeah, it's not just a series of tubes.
Yes.
It's weird because California is surprisingly on the side of gamers. A few years ago, they had some bill going through their house for anti-loot boxes, so you can't gamble in games anymore because they found it destructive to children.
Which is correct.
Yes, very much so. But that was the only state that was fighting for it.
Yeah.
So it's weird to hear this like video game news come out of California of all places.
Right.
Which cracks me up because those basically casinos for kids are completely allowed everywhere. Like ticket games and claw machines and...
But there's skill involved, technically.
Is
right?
there?
I think that's how they get around it.
Like, yeah, because games that involve skill aren't technically gambling.
Right, like pinball.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark.
I'm not talking about pinball. I'm talking about like...
claw games.
Not even claw games. Like there's ones at Tilted 10 where it's like you press a button for a ball to drop down from the ceiling and hope it lands in one of the holes. Like, sure, could you turn that into a skill? Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, you control where it drops.
Are you describing pachinko?
Yeah.
No. It's like a cylinder.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Going straight up, and there's one tiny tube that comes down, and then the floor of the cylinder is spinning, and it has holes in it.
All right.
And then
This is terrible radio.
I know. Nobody can see my hand motions.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see more of that in the future. Before I talk about Assassin's Creed, I want to see what you guys thought of the trailer for Last of Us Part 2. I can't remember. Did you guys watch the first trailer or the first season?
Of course.
Okay.
It was incredible.
It was really good. What did you think of the trailer for the second?
I have intentionally not watched it.
Oh, okay.
I'm already sold.
Yeah, it's true. I just kind of wanted to see what the new character looked like.
Do you get like a shot of her?
I think I saw a shot of her like in the title card, but they showed a lot of young Ellie.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know. I don't know how this is going to work, but the funny part, the reason I wanted to watch is I wanted to see how much of a certain character they were going to show.
Uh-huh.
If you catch my drift.
Sure.
And that was the interesting part of it because it was a lot more than I expected.
Well, the game lied about how much of that character was in it.
It's true. And the trailer kind of does too.
Well, I think HBO audience should be used to death.
Yeah.
Right?
And shock factor, right?
Yeah. So
it's just kind of expected at this point.
That audience survived Game of Thrones. I also think the show has a chance to, it won't have its story leaked beforehand, so everybody already makes up their mind ahead of time.
That's true. That's an interesting point. Anyway, 2025. The last one was released in March, right? March of 2023.
Sounds correct.
And so that I'm assuming it's going to be around March, but I'm definitely excited. I thought that first season. I need to go back and rewatch the first season. Honestly, like that.
Oh yeah, I would happily. I mean, you could also play the game. I guess they're pretty close.
I do. I have a copy of the game. It was on sale for like $25 or whatever, and I had to grab a copy of the remastered.
The Part 1 remake. Yeah, I think it was like $15. Actually,
it was like through Verizon, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Because you sent me the link, and I just entered random phone numbers until one was a Verizon number, and then
oh really?
And then got it for $15.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because they needed to make sure you had a Verizon number, so I just entered in random phone numbers
until you could. Yeah. That's hilarious. I could just give you my wife's number or something.
Should have shout out to whoever's phone number I stole the deal for, I guess.
They're like, "What's this? I paid $15 for it."
Well, I still paid for it. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm just getting fun.
If they went to buy it themselves, they're like, "What do you mean it's already been used?"
All right, so the story I actually want to talk about, Assassin's Creed Shadows being delayed. It was originally supposed to launch on November 15th. The new date for it is going to be Valentine's Day of 2025. And here is the quote. It says, "While the game is feature complete, the learnings from the Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. This will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure, with how do you pronounce it? Naoi,
Naue,
Naue,
and
Yasuke.
I don't know.
Bringing two very different gameplay styles. Unquote. The game is also releasing on PC the same date as console. This is new. This is usually a case where it comes out on console first and then releases on PC later. And also, the season pass is going away for this title. Quote, all players will be able to enjoy the game at the same time on February 14th, and those who pre-order the game will be granted the first expansion for free. So that means existing pre-orders are canceled, which is weird.
Right.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to, but that's just still odd to me. Because, they didn't want people to be like, oh, well, I paid for the pre-order so I could get this, this expansion or season pass. So they had to cancel it because it's not available anymore. I don't know. The game is also not shown at Tokyo Game Show, which is interesting. So, Zach, I'm curious how you feel about this because you've played a little Star Wars Outlaws. I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you had some good fun with it. It wasn't, but that game is so divisive, and I think it's just an interesting. I don't want to say excuse because I am totally okay with them keeping this game in the oven for a little while longer. But it just feels like they're blaming another game for this.
Well, I think obviously there's a mixture of things going on. But Ubisoft stock is not doing great, right? So there's some concern there, I imagine. And they have some reputations they're fighting with the expectation of a Ubisoft game is that you shouldn't buy it at launch because they never come out done. Right? They always come. Right. They always come out with a heavy amount of jank. Star Wars Outlaws had plenty of jank when I played it, and it's jank you can look past, but it is the kind of jank that's going to prevent people from being like, "Holy crap, dude, you need to buy this game."
Right?
When you're talking to your friend about Star Wars Outlaws, it's like, yeah, like I'm having fun with it, but you should know about this, and this. There are caveats. So
right.
Hopefully this extra 3 months is the 3 months of patching that would normally happen after a game's launch.
Right.
And we're just going to get that up front so the game's actually feels done for once for a Ubisoft title. And I think they need those launch sales because the other reputation they're battling is don't buy a Ubisoft game at launch because it's always on sale a month later anyway.
Yeah, right.
So they need to create some kind of momentum behind the launch of the game, and it did not seem like the game had that right now.
Yeah, I mean, how long has it been since last Assassin's Creed? Was that 3 years ago?
Well, Mirage was last year.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of the in between. But this is DLC like the
for the other game.
But this is really the break glass in case of emergency Assassin's Creed setting that they should have used years ago, probably. But
Feudal Japan.
Yeah, like that was the one everybody wanted, right? As soon as we learned that they were time hopping, it definitely seemed like it was the most popular answer, and they just kept putting it off. And it feels like they lost momentum for the franchise along the way. Although I guess Valhalla was a big hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it does really feel like this game's fighting an uphill battle. I guess it's also in a post Ghost of Tsushima world.
That's a good point too.
So people kind of had their fix of feudal Japan Assassin's Creed kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
So
and a really good one at that.
yeah, exceptional, better than Assassin's Creed for sure. But I mean, a lot of this is good for gamers all around, right? The delay means you'll actually get a finished game. The no more early access, which is great. That stuff is so lame. And they're trying to entice their pre-order numbers with this. You get the expansion for free, which is smart on their end. I don't know. I think it. Unless you were had your PTO requests in already for Assassin's Creed Shadows, I feel like it's just kind of good news all around.
Except for February is nuts for releases for at least some people.
That's a very good point. No, February is very busy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jacob, what do you think?
I've actually heard some drastically different opinions online about this being about race, because there was backlash when it was first announced about one of the characters being black. And so some people feel like they're going through and trying to whitewash it. Very
There's
doubtful.
no way.
Very, very doubtful with the amount of time and effort that it would take to replace a character and all the cutscenes and everything. That it's not possible.
Plus the negative press they would get. You think that?
Yeah. Well, they the site that I was reading must have been really stupid because they were talking about the backlash that Ubisoft would get from having a black character with these communities around. But there's already been a black character in an Assassin's Creed game. They released Freedom, was it called?
Freedom Cry.
Freedom Cry. There it is.
Yep.
And that was freeing slaves. So I don't know how much worse it could get if you have these communities screaming that they're being racist or whatever. But it's doubtful that that's the reason.
Yeah, you can't get rid of him in 3 months.
No.
I still feel like a lot of the controversy would have been avoided even if you had a black samurai, if you just didn't use a historical figure.
Yes.
Like an actual historical figure.
Right. Because then that brings in so many, it brings in all the people like, well, he wasn't a samurai, or he was a samurai, or he was a retainer, all that crap goes away because this person didn't exist,
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, all the other characters they use throughout the games kind of, they come in and they're there and they fade from history.
Yeah, this is the first time we're playing as a historical figure, which I think is a big mistake. But I'm all for a black samurai, for the record. I don't care. But it could have been somebody being trained under Yasuke or something like that, or you just say he's a hidden assassin or something. I don't know. They picked a historical figure for the first time ever, and I feel like they had to have expected that would cause the wrong sorts to come out.
Assassin's Creed Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or you finally see the rights. We're finally going to see what John Wilkes Booth was all about. Is that what you're implying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the twist in the second, in the third arc of the game, is that you are actually John Wilkes Booth.
Right.
Oh God.
Yeah, dude. Lincoln was a Templar. He had to do some good. He had to do some good stuff up front to lay the seeds for the bad stuff. But
that's why he breaks his legs. There was no hay bale at the bottom of the. Oh.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Oh yeah. On that note. Wait, what do you think this is a good news, Scott? This delay, right? Or
I mean, I'm at the point where delays don't bother me in the slightest anymore because I always have something to play. I'm juggling 3 games right now. Balatro, Zelda, and Astrobot, which I still need to finish. I mean, like, I don't even feel like I'm going to get full on game time until February anyway, so I'm fine. And I never played Valhalla, so if I really needed to get my Assassin's Creed fix, I could just go put 120 hours into that, and then we both know that's not going to happen. So,
no.
I'm just more. This story is more interesting to me about the future of Ubisoft, because Ubisoft was one of the big dogs for many, many years, right? They had their own booths at E3. They were up there with EA and Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, and and they just seem to be on shaky ground.
They seem to have no studio management at all. Like, why is the Splinter Cell remake taking this many years since announcement to come out? Why is the Sands of Time remake so close to coming out that the trophies are live and then you cancel it and then restart it? Like, what the hell is going on over there with the management?
Yeah, I don't know. And where are like the smaller titles that we used to get from Ubisoft? Like we get a few, I guess, but just not I don't know.
Why are you letting Beyond Good and Evil 2 take almost 2 decades to develop? A game
was it like a 12-hour game, the first one?
Yes. Yeah, it was like a 12-15 hour Zelda sort of adventure. And then you spend almost 2 days cooking up a sequel, and it's never going to make the money it needs to recoup that.
Right. You said 2 days, you meant 2 decades.
2
right?
decades, yeah.
Okay.
2 days would be pretty quick.
I was gonna be like, this is really fast. All right. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I honestly don't even know if I'm gonna play it. I'm kind of over 100-hour games.
Yeah.
I really am. I used to love them. Yeah. Well, it's getting harder and harder to be able to put that kind of time into games. There's lots going on, but before we get onto the new games we've been playing, I want to remind everybody about Patreon. We've got a way that you can donate to the Gaming Outsider if you like what you were hearing and would like to hear a little bit more even, you can donate at patreon.com/thegocast. Or if you want to get the episode a day earlier than everybody else, all you got to do is pay $1 a month. $3 will get you 1 bonus episode, and $5 will get you 2 bonus episodes. And I've got 2 brand new episodes. I got them right in under the wire at the end of September here. Zach and I sat down with Ben Ruiz, developer known as Dino God, to do a Desert Island Games episode.
The studio is named Dino God. He is not known as Dino God.
He's the Dino God.
AKA Dino God.
He founded Dino God.
Yes.
The development studio.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ben, you'll always be a Dino God in my mind. That's all I'm saying. No, we had a great time talking about the 5 games that he would choose if you were stuck on a stranded island, on a desert island. And it was a genuinely awesome conversation. We were a little over an hour, and I think we could have gone for at least 2 or 3 more, Zach.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys really hit it off talking about. I guess I don't want to give it away.
Yeah,
there's some SNES platforming bangers discussed.
Yes, it was a great episode. Really, we actually made that one available to everybody because we wanted to help him get the word out about his studio. And what's the name of the game, Zach?
Bounty Star.
You gonna give the whole title, or are you just gonna...
Bounty Star: The Morose Tale of Graveyard Clem,
which looks like a genuinely cool game. So be sure to check that out. Also, for our $5 tier subscribers, I have a really special treat for you. I convinced my wife to come down here and record a podcast episode with me. About 30 minutes of her talking about gaming and being married to somebody that podcasts about games. And the feedback I am getting on that episode is great. People want more. They want to listen to my wife now instead of me.
She admits to a conspiracy I've had for years in that episode.
She does.
Yeah.
And that's the first time she said it out loud. And
you must have felt so vindicated.
I kind of did, because I denied it. I was like, no, she's not actually doing that. And she has been 100% been doing that for years. You have to listen to the episode
to
know what I'm talking about. But if you're intrigued, want to hear those episodes or any of our past catalog, signing up now gets you access to everything we've ever recorded on Patreon. We've got it all cataloged on our website. Head over to patreon.com/thegocast. Consider donating. And every dime that we earn from you guys goes towards paying for this show, or going towards R2V2 or games that we purchase to review and then in turn give away back to the community. So we really would appreciate it. With that, let's go ahead now and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, what new games are coming out that people can purchase?
Right off the top, we have Until Dawn coming to PS5 and PC October 4th.
Brand new game.
Right, yeah. Brand new remake of a 2014 game. So you've been waiting around for Until Dawn and just thought, well, if only it looked better. This is a remake. There is no upgrade path. So if you're a real big Until Dawn head, you got to pay full retail price for this bad boy.
Ooh.
Your mileage may vary on the pricing, I suppose. SpongeBob SquarePants: The Patrick Star Game, a 3D platformer starring Patrick. I'm sure he's thrilled. This comes to all consoles and PC October 4th. Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, 2D platformer, comes to all consoles October 4th. It's already available on PC. This is a Bushido Blade inspired Die by the Blade. This is a melee weapon combat game where you die in 1 or 2 hits. That's coming to consoles, to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, consoles, Xbox One, and Switch October 5th, I think. It released in 1.0 like a month ago, and this date is still listed on their website, but the launch was so bad that they pushed back a bunch of their other features. So, I'm not promising this game's coming out on October 5th, and if it does, I'm not promising it's in a state you want to buy. But I think this game has looked very cool for a while, so I'm hoping they figure it out. Because Bushido Blade was awesome. That was a great game.
I remember that game.
Speaking of rentals, Bushido Blade was a perfect weekend rental game.
Mm-hmm.
Necro Story comes to PS5, Xbox Series console, Switch, and PC October 7th. So if you want to be a little Necromancer RPG for the holiday, now's your time. A beloved classic gets remade with Silent Hill 2 coming to PS5 and PC October 8th. That is being headed up by Bloober Team, developers of Layers of Fear and The Medium. Survival Fountain of Youth is, another survival game coming to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles October 8th. Lego Harry Potter Collection bundles Lego Harry Potter years 1 through 4 and years 5 through 7 into one full high school package. That comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC October 8th. I believe it is remastered to some degree. I don't know what the upgrade path is on that game. I didn't look into it. I'm not going to lie to you. To the Moon, a game that seems to make everybody cry, comes to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles October 8th. Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire hopes that you remember Skies of Arcadia as it lands on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, as well as Switch as in PC October 10th. Did you like that one?
I did like that one. A little too much.
Yeah, and then Last Time I Saw You is a coming-of-age story set in the 80s Japan about a boy finding his first love. And that comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC October 10th. Jake, as you are our guest, what game on this list is exciting you the most? Which game could give you the most hundreds of hours that you're looking for?
I'm gonna say this, and I said something to Scott at the DJ gig about something, and I love it so much. The SpongeBob SquarePants one. It feels like Goat Simulator, but with Patrick Star, and he's got a bunch of quips and stuff. So I might look at that.
Okay.
Did not expect that answer.
Unexpected.
Oh, I love SpongeBob.
Okay.
So much, too much.
I had no idea about this. Big SpongeBob guy. Did you play the other? Didn't they do a new one, Cosmic Shake? Did you play that one?
Nope.
Okay.
I haven't played any other SpongeBob games, but this one looks fun.
All right. Well, I thought you were a big fan, but whatever.
He's a fan of the cartoon.
Right.
No, I know. That was just fun. And what about you,
okay.
I mean, Silent Hill 2 is the easy answer, just because I love that universe. But man, that trailer for To the Moon did something. I don't know why that intrigued me as much as it did. It looks like a walking simulator with a lot more to do than just walking.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean this game's been out for a long time on PC.
Has it?
Yeah, but this is your chance on modern consoles.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I just think it looks really cool. There's even like a scene, because it all takes place on the moon, but then there's a driving section where you're driving like a modern day car on the road. Like,
I think are you thinking of the first person shooter game you sent me a trailer for?
I am. Am I thinking of the wrong game?
Yeah, To the Moon is a heartfelt, pixelated, interactive. It's kind of an adventure game.
That is why.
Where a man is trying to help his Alzheimer's having wife remember their life together.
Oh my goodness! I pulled a Kevin on this. I am so sorry.
So, very different tone than first person shooter, kick-ass car combat game.
Moon Mystery is the game I'm thinking of. My apologies.
Yeah, To the Moon describes itself as a timeless story about the passage of time. So I think
that's not what I'm thinking. So Silent Hill 2 is my answer.
That's a different tone. Oh man, that's funny as hell.
Man, I just totally foobarred that entire thing. Go watch the trailer for Moon Mystery, guys. That game looks awesome.
Or for the award-winning narrative of To the Moon.
Yeah. What are the chances that we're going to have a new game coming out that has the word moon in it, as well as the game that I'm really excited about has the word moon?
Could you imagine more than one game with the same word in its title? It's tough to get your head around.
I mean, the word moon.
Deliver us the moon. Yeah, maybe it's the. Maybe that's what got you tripped up.
Oh my goodness.
What
about you, Zach?
You don't know your articles. I think Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire looks interesting. If a bit zany for my more glum taste, but Silent Hill 2, yeah, is where I'm at for show. Who doesn't love Silent Hill, right? The sleepy little town of Silent Hill.
Oh, that guitar, the real fast guitar sound at the beginning.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah, Kira Yamaoka, right? The composer coming back, so
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I was looking at some footage of the original Silent Hill this week because I was trying to brush up on some of my knowledge of it, and I forgot at how PS1 that first game looked.
Yes.
Like Harry Mason.
That's why the fog is there.
Yeah, because they couldn't render that far in the distance or whatever. Like his shoulders are so high up on his body when he's walking. I was like, wow, why couldn't we remake the original?
Oh yeah, and he had those kind of like long spindly arms there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they did I was gonna say they kind of remade it for Wii, but I guess Shattered Memories was a pretty different thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like 2 is certainly the most beloved one. It's like why they're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 first, right? So I guess Konami is just remake the ones that people like the most first.
And then see how they react and then go backwards.
Then we'll figure it out from there. Look, I would like. They should remake Silent Hill 3 next, so I can see Heather Mason in modern graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I had a big crush on her when I was a teen.
Did you?
The main character of Silent Hill 3. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also known as can't say that.
Oh yeah, the twist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, Silent Hill 2 is where I'm at. I'm pretty excited. I like the medium the game Bloober Team made.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool, and it was way darker than I expected. Its subject matter. So it dealt with some pretty heavy themes, and I remember because it had kind of a dual world thing, and I remember thinking when I was playing it that Bloober Team could probably make a pretty solid Silent Hill. And here they are.
And what do you know?
So here we go.
Fingers crossed it's good.
Jinx, my guy.
Oh, man.
Now the game's going to be bad. Congratulations. You ruined it.
Way to go, Scott. You ruined everything.
I'm sorry. Well, Jake, I want to talk to you first about a new game that you've been playing, because I am very curious, because I loved the first Earth Defense Force game. And you have been playing Earth Defense Force 6 on PC. It is also available on PlayStation. So, is there any difference to the formula? Does the formula of this game change?
Not really.
Is it pretty much the same thing?
They've got, different creatures, different enemies, different weapons, all that kind of stuff. But the base of the game stays the same.
Run around, shoot giant bugs. Are there giant robots?
Actually, in this game, I guess there's one, but not not like the Hectors.
Hectors.
The giant robots in the first 4 games were called Hectors.
Man, does Earth Defense Force have a through narrative? Okay. There's stories and there's things that happen. Interesting.
This one actually has a time loop, which is insane to
me.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, can't do it. Can't ruin anything if anyone actually goes and plays this game. Yeah, I was going to say something because at some point I had to actually stop and bang my head against the wall and be like, why is this game doing it to me? But it's getting good. The story is fleshing out a little bit.
See, I never even I've only played the first one, really. I played a couple sequels and it just never grabbed me like the original, or I don't even know if it's original. 2017? Did we determine that was the name of the first one?
That's the first one we got in the States, right?
In the States, right.
That might be, yeah.
Earth Defense Force 2017. I don't even remember there being a story. I just remember being dropped in and just shoot bugs and try to survive. But there was also a really fun weapon system. It was always, you're always unlocking something bigger and better and making the next. It was almost like a roguelike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before that was even a word, I think.
This this one actually takes that more to heart, because in the easier difficulties, if you fail, even if you quit the game, they still give you the items that you picked up. Or in the harder difficulties, a portion of the items that you picked up. Where in the first however many games, that just never happened. You just had to keep beating your head against the wall until you actually unlock new weapons and stuff, and trying at harder difficulties. This one actually forces you to play through the game at least once on an easier difficulty before you can go to the harder difficulties. Because once I knew the formula, every game I played after that, I would play it on the hardest difficulty that I could, and then the hardest difficulty they had. And this one is forcing me to play easier.
Oh, so you really have to work your way up. I think the thing that stood out to me even more in the original was just how much they were able to put on screen at one time for the 360 era. I played on 360. Was it on PlayStation 3?
I don't think so. I think it was 360 exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, there was so much going on, and there was no slowdown. I remember getting a sniper rifle and shooting those, what'd you call them, Hectors?
Yeah.
From across the city, and just it was just mind-boggling how far away I was shooting.
It's fun. Yeah. They kind of bounce around a little bit, and
yeah. So does any of that carry over to 6?
There are giant frog monsters that roll around and get hit, and you can chop off body parts, and it's kind of gruesome. But yeah, there's some of that's in there.
Are giant ants still a thing?
There's 4 variants of giant ants now.
Hell yeah!
Because they had to keep adding more and more. People wouldn't just be happy with 2 colors of ants.
I don't know. I like ants. Ants are cool.
I think what ruined the later games for me was like vehicles or like jetpacks and stuff like that. That just added nothing to the game for me. Is there that in this?
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Well, you don't have to play as those characters, but it is a different play style that has different opportunities with among them that you couldn't do with the normal ranger. With the wing diver, you get the jetpack, but they're really weak, but their weapons are really strong in close combat. With the fencer, they're heavy, they can dual wield weapons, and you can have 4 weapons or a shield. And I mean, they're really slow, but they're heavy. So I mean, it works. And then there's the air raider, who just sucks all around because all of his abilities you have to kill creatures to unlock his abilities in game, and it just sucks. But either way,
is there? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is there co-op?
Oh yeah. There's been co-op since the first one.
Not online co-op in the first one. It was only local co-op.
Yes, it was only split screen in the first, I think, 2 that we had. But yeah, online co-op is a thing. Go on, meet somebody random and jump on there and do whatever, blow things up. But yeah, friendly fire is definitely a thing in this game still.
Oh.
I remember in the first game, me and a buddy were playing, and we'd beaten basically the entire game and unlocked this pestilence missile launcher, and had an insanely huge blast radius. And he aimed at a creature, fired it, and it went off really slowly. And the creature came by us, and you could just see the missile kind of heading back our way. We're just like, oh well, there goes that game, and yeah, we all blew up. But I love the antics. Actually, if you played these games like I have and actually listened to the people, over time they've increased the banter that your little companions have. They've added songs and they've added stories that people tell among the NPCs that are traveling with you. This is there's no cutscenes in these games, so everything that happens is over comms. So once you get to a certain level of the game, somebody will cut into your comms and be like, oh, they've taken over Japan, or they've taken over, whatever this. And so you kind of have to pick up the story from what people are talking about around you versus actually seeing it happen.
Interesting. Recommend it? Go check it out.
It's a combination of new and old. So in the old games, their weapons that they had, you had to switch weapons to actually have certain types of like grenades or landmines or stuff. This game gives you a backpack mode, so you can carry that kind of stuff with you. I love that idea. So you can lay traps and still have 2 guns to work with. So yeah, I recommend it. I'm having a lot of fun, except it's really, really long.
Oh,
really, really long.
Well, that's right up your alley.
I'm 120 missions into it, and I just got an achievement for 10% completion.
Get out. Are you serious?
Yeah, it was bad.
Wow, that is just absolutely nuts.
Scott. There's one thing you care about more than anything in this world. It's The Legend of Zelda.
I do love Legend of Zelda.
And you've been playing Echoes of Wisdom, man. The first time you get to play as Link in one of these games instead of Zelda. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, actually, it's not the first game you play as Zelda. There was Zelda's Adventure on the CDI Phillips, but
it's weird that you would bring that up in mixed company like this.
That game is awful. It's pretty bad.
Looks pretty bad. Is it that, or is it the cartoon show that's the origin of the Excuse Me Princess?
I think it's a cartoon show.
Is it a cartoon show? Okay.
It was used a lot more in the cartoon show for sure, but I don't know which came first.
Is it in both?
I think so. I think it's in the game.
So
but the graphics, but the animation wasn't nearly as good.
Link's iconic catchphrase is "Excuse me, princess."
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of the princess, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This is the first mainline game where they're letting you play as Zelda. It's done by the studio that did the Link's Awakening remake, right? And in that weird style that they've chosen, that scares me off.
Really?
I do not. Well, I haven't, played a lot of Link's Awakening in motion, I guess, to appreciate it. But from the trailers, I hate this art style. Now, wow. but anyway, how is Echoes of Wisdom, right? This is the big. I don't know. You tell me the setup. What's the setup of the story of this thing?
The setup is you actually start the game playing as Link. Well, so you're actually
It's a little ridiculous, don't you think? She can't even.
Why?
She can't even be starring in her own game. Oh my god!
Well, it's like
Typical
a
men.
prologue.
Typical men. Am I right?
Oh my goodness. I mean, he goes through a dungeon, very small dungeon, and faces off with Ganon, and a rift opens up in the middle of the floor. Link is sucked into it. Before he gets sucked into this rift, he fires off an arrow at the crystal encasing Zelda. And he goes, and then she breaks free of this crystal, and now she has to figure out what's going on. But what's interesting is that Zelda has no idea who Link is.
No, so this is a new batch in the timeline.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
So, she goes back and she's like, I saw this hooded, person or figure, and he dropped his cloak, and so she took this cloak, and now she's wearing Link's cloak, but she has no idea who he is. And then she meets people that tells him, oh, that's Link, and he's trying to save this and that, blah blah blah. So the game actually starts like a Metroid game, because you play as Link with all full heart containers. He's got the sword juiced up. He's got bombs. He's got arrows. He's got everything, right? And then instead of just stripping you of that, it actually takes the complete character away from you, and now you play with Zelda, who has nothing, absolutely nothing.
Okay, yeah, that's fun. That's a fun way to do it for sure.
I agree. So the catch to this game is that you do play as Zelda, but you're not playing her. You're playing her as a Zelda. You're not playing her as a Link, which I know sounds like a profound thing to say. She does not even have a sword. She is bestowed upon her this magical rod by this creature named Tri that allows her to make copies of items in the environment.
Is it the Tri-Rod, right?
Tri-Rod,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So, you're in a prison and you have to escape out of this prison, and oh, there's a crate right here. Well, we'll use Tri-Rod to make a copy of this crate, and now I can make stairs to get my way out of this prison. They do a really good job of teaching you how to do that. And then at that point, go ahead.
How do they limit your use of the wand?
So you're
Rod,
little Tri character flies around with you, and he has behind him a certain number of triangles, and he has at the beginning 3. So and then items that you are copying have a cost to them. So a crate is only 1. Whereas if you get some of the enemies later on that you can use to fight for you, maybe 3 or 4. So you can use as many as you have available triangles left and try. And then obviously as you get through dungeons, you earn more of them. So, which is a brilliant way to gear gate, because there are certain things that you can't copy until you have enough of these triangles available to you, or this currency, so to speak. And then as far as combat goes, again, you don't have a sword, right? So the only way that you can attack enemies is to summon a rock, pick up the rock and throw it at the enemies. Or, eventually you can actually copy enemies. You defeat an enemy and then it leaves a little version of itself that you can copy. Now I can just summon one of those enemies and he'll go fight for me.
Oh, like a necromancer in Diablo.
Kind of, but they don't, there's a lock-on feature where you can kind of direct them where to go, but they don't always follow you exactly the way you want them to, so you got to play a little bit game with that. Now, you do wind up having some of Link's abilities. You get an ability later on where you can basically transform into like a figure of Link, but it's limited to a meter, like a magic meter, if you will. That, again, you can increase as you go through the game. And that, like the last one that I got, actually gave me the bow and arrow. So I actually now have at my disposal a sword and a bow and arrow, but I can use it for like 8 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not like I'm running through a dungeon as this character. I'm running through as Zelda, and then occasionally transforming into Zelda.
So Zelda's power-up move is to turn into a man?
Yes. I never made that connection.
Oh, that's interesting.
Until now.
Although I guess, you know what? That's a time-honored tradition of hers, right? Going back to Ocarina of Time.
Sheik.
Becoming Sheik, yeah.
Right. Anyway, the thing that I am genuinely loving this game, it feels like a return to the Zelda formula that we all know and love.
Okay.
But with a twist.
Well, see, with the item stuff, it seems like a little bit of melding the freedom of a Breath of the Wild with the more structured content of a traditional Zelda.
It does. And Zach, you know how like in the past you talked about one of your favorite aha moments in gaming is in Ocarina of Time when you shot the hook shot at a fence,
Right. Yeah.
and it just worked.
Yeah.
This game is full of moments like that.
Okay.
Where like I wonder if I could do that and see what happens, and it just works. I'll give you a small example of what I'm talking about because I don't want to ruin too much of it. But one of the items that you are able to copy early on is a bed. And beds are like crates, except they're longer, obviously. And these are things that you use to make bridges across chasms that you can get across. What I discovered almost by accident is that when you summon a bed, you can also just take a quick nap in that bed
During like
and recover your hearts.
Wow. Okay, so you just have like an infinite healing item.
Well, it's yes and no because it's not like it happens instantaneously. It's like you really got to sleep. So you got to sit there and wait for your hearts to refill 1/4 at a time every like 5 or 6 seconds.
Oh,
so
okay. So you couldn't do it in the middle of a boss fight or anything.
Correct. Yeah.
Unless I guess you conjure a series of walls around you and you can take a nap in the bed surrounded by walls.
But see, you're already thinking outside the box,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And that's
true.
what this game is
Yeah.
doing. So there are moments like that. And I often find myself getting frustrated with the puzzle. And I'm like, I just can't. I don't even see anything possible that I could do right now. But I just start experimenting and say, well, I wonder if I did this. It's a game that makes you when you solve something, you feel like you did it in a way that the developers did not intend you to do it that way.
But obviously
you know what I
they
mean?
did. Yeah.
I don't know because there's so many different options available for you. I feel like there's a couple times where I cheesed it. Like there's no way this is what they actually wanted me to do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it okay.
I definitely felt
thing.
that way in Breath of the Wild sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't feel like I was supposed to get across that gap, but you found your way. You know.
Uh-huh.
But surely
there's a
must
lot
have.
of that in this, but it's still got the overworld. It's still got the dungeons. It's still got.
I don't know, it sounds pretty exciting.
This is really something special. The way that I keep describing this game to people is it feels like the sequel to Link's Awakening we never got. And I know people are yelling at me and saying, well, we got Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Yes, you're right. But those are very much the exact same formula, right? This feels like the sequel that we never got that did something different with the game. For instance, Zelda 2, very divisive game.
Yeah.
Right? This feels like Link's Awakening's Zelda 2, only it doesn't suck.
Well, that is nice.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of them trying something completely different. Like there are times when I'm playing Echoes of Wisdom where I just give me a freaking sword. Like I just want to mow down these plants or whatever. And I'm just so used to that formula of walking into a room and just swinging my sword at everything. You can't do that here. You just don't have the option to do it. She does have a spin ability to take down, bushes and things like that, but you really have to think through fights. Yeah. But the game is so nice to you because every time you copy an item, it just gets added to your inventory. So you can summon anything at any time. You just press a button, cycle through, pick what you want, and then you now have the ability to summon it or then displace it so that it's gone. And the sheer number of clever ways that they have used that formula in ingenious ways, and I'm only through 2 dungeons so far, is insane. And I've only seen like a sixth of the map.
Right.
So I'm just really looking forward to seeing what else they do.
You got like a smile on your face talking about this.
Dude, it's so. I was very worried about this game because I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. It's going to be kind of cute. We're going to have like a Triforce Heroes situation where it's a clever concept, but the execution is not good. This one works. But it also feels like the Zelda game that's not going to be for everybody because you aren't able to do the same things that you're comfortable with right off the bat.
Right.
It feels very jarring and you feel like your hands are tied at the beginning. But as you start learning new things and start experimenting, things become more clear and you start learning what the game wants you to do without it explicitly telling you. And it just feels like a breath of fresh air after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which I liked those games, but they, outside of like the music and the characters and things like that, it didn't feel like a traditional Zelda game.
Yeah, I certainly know what you mean. Yeah,
And I feel like we haven't had one of those. What was the 3DS one? Link Between Worlds.
yeah.
That's the last time we got one, and that was 2 console cycles ago.
And that was experimental, right? Because you could get the items in any order you wanted.
Right. So they just keep coming up with ways to keep this game fresh, and
it's actually been so long. When they just do a straight up old fashioned Zelda, it's going to feel so new.
Right. Yeah. They could just they could just do like a Link to the Past style game with completely new dungeons that they came up with and new map and everything. And be like, this is awesome.
Oh,
I've never seen this before.
So fresh.
Yeah. The last thing I will say about this game, because I could gush about this for forever, is the music is outstanding. You know how you play a game based on the Legend of Zelda series and you expect that overworld theme, right?
Yeah.
It's there on occasion, but it's not in the overworld. The overworld has its own theme that, for whatever reason, instantly hooked me. Okay. It is an earworm, and it is so pleasant, fully orchestrated. It's a little oboe heavy, but the tune is just very happy and it feels like a Zelda melody that I've heard my entire life, but I haven't. It's brand new to me, but it feels like it belongs here.
Oh, that's great. So it's almost like Zelda gets her own overworld theme.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going for, and it like Luke's versus Leia's themes in the
right.
Star Wars movies, right?
Yeah.
It feels like that, but in video game form, and I am genuinely in love with this game. I really did not think I was going to like it as much as I did.
I have a couple questions before we move on. One, and this is very specific. Do people know that you're the princess?
Some do, yes. Like because you've been captured, right? So when you just like show up back at the castle at the beginning of the game after Link rescued you, they're all like, "Oh, Princess Zelda is back." As you go through the game wearing this cloak, people can't recognize you as princess while you're wearing Link's cloak.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to some areas of the world and they don't know who you are. You're in like one of the earlier dungeons. I meet a Gerudo. Is it pronounced Gerudo or Gerudo?
Gerudo, I thought.
Gerudo. You meet a Gerudo that doesn't know you. You're like actually introduced to her and you work alongside her and she vouches for you with her captain and all this kind of stuff. So not everybody in the world knows you are, but it's not like you are an unknown to everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. I always just think it's fun when you're famous in a game's world.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is like the side content, if there is any? I think of Zelda and I think of like the collecting Skulltulas or fishing at a creepy lake. or the trading quests of classic Zeldas are always a lot of fun.
Yes.
Is there anything like that going on in here?
There's no fishing yet, but again, I've only seen a small portion of the map. There is I don't know if you'd call it a side quest or not, but there is a crafting system into here where there's this guy that makes smoothies, and you keep finding different ingredients along the way. And then you take them to the smoothie shop and you give him 2 ingredients. So you have to try. I found myself just sitting there trying to do every combination of 2 ingredients I could to see what would happen.
See what smoothies you come up with.
Right. And some of them, most of them are health so far, but there's other ones that like will make you climb faster, or it's very Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
In that
the food. Are there any dubious smoothies where they have to mosaic out how terrible it is?
I haven't seen one yet, but I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. But this game actually does have actual side quests, which I feel is new for a Zelda franchise. And what I mean is, like in Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, there were things to do, but you just went out and did them. Here you actually have a quest log. I have main quests and I have side quests.
Yeah, unexpected for sure.
Right. And the side quests are things like, there's one I'm doing right now that there is a tumbleweed that is just like blowing in the wind on the overworld map, and every time I go near it, it just disappears. And I come across some guy that says, "Hey, have you seen those tumbleweeds? I'm really trying to get one for this research, but I can't figure out what I got to do to get one, because if I touch it, it just falls apart." I have yet to figure out what that is. So that's a side quest. And his place is marked on my map as a side quest. But then my main quests are,
Yeah.
I can just go do that if I want to.
Maybe there'll be
heart containers are a thing here. Those are back, like the quarter heart containers.
Yeah.
No Skulltulas yet, but
yeah, I didn't think it was going to be anything 1-to-1. I was just curious what, because as a kid especially, like Zelda felt like such a world to get lost in, and I felt like that's those kind of side things help sell that.
It is here. You still have that here, but it's almost like gear gated because you can see as you're going through the overworld things that you can't access yet. At least with what I've experimented with, or I'm walking through an area and I now have this copy ability that I have. Oh, I can use that here now. You know what I mean? Like one game changer for me, and I don't know if this is considered a spoiler, is I found a platform that just goes straight up. I can conjure this thing and I can get on the platform and it goes straight up.
Okay.
That allows me to access parts of the map that were completely inoperable to me.
Yeah. So you have a little portable elevator.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, this game has something that will feel very new to a Zelda game. You have a jump button.
Whoa. Yeah.
You just
outside of the Breath of the Wild duology. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did have the ability to jump in Link's Awakening, right? But with the feather.
Yeah, say you need the item, yeah.
Right. This one you just can always jump. So that elevator object that you were talking about, I can't just jump on it. I also have to conjure something to step on to get onto it,
Okay.
which costs me another currency.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So just so well thought out, man. And I obviously I'm not even halfway through the game, but to really know, but I cannot wait to see what's next. And that's what I miss about Zelda games. And we got that in Breath of the Wild, right? But the thing at the end of the tunnel was just another shrine. You know what I mean? Where here it feels like it could be a heart container. It could be a whole new area with a whole new race that I'm going to interact with.
Yeah.
Or it could be because the crux of the game or the goal of the game is to find more of these rifts and close them. That's like her whole thing. And Tri has the ability to do that, but the only way that Tri can do that is if she or he, I'm not sure, is able to find her friends. And then you go through there and that's your dungeon. And the dungeons are Zelda dungeons, but without traditional sword fighting. And, you've got pots and I don't have bombs yet, but keys.
Dude, this game
but
sounds
it's all done
really cool, man.
It's really, really good, man. Like when after our 2v2 and your wedding, I think this one needs to be on your list. I think you're really going to like it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, sounds amazing.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. That is Legend of Zelda. I genuinely did not mean to talk about that long, but you asked good questions, Zach. So
well, it's Zelda. I would hope you would talk about it.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun that they gave it a new angle for Zelda. Focusing on magic instead of like swordplay. That's just nice.
Right.
That they found some way to make it feel like her game rather than just a copy paste of the old game.
Right.
Oh,
I just hope. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Does Tri talk like throughout the game, kind of like a Navi or a Midna or anything? Like, is Tri a character then?
Full on dialogue. Like it's not just like grunts and whistles or whatever.
Right.
You have conversation, and then there's a fun thing where some people can see Tri and some people can't. And that's story related.
Okay.
So I won't.
I was just thinking that, because we've had the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like it's been a while since you've had a little companion, and that used to be another staple of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My only concern with this game is that people are going to jump into it and be like, I don't even have a sword.
Yeah.
And then give up on it. And it's a game that does feel jarring at first, especially if you were a massive Zelda fan. But the charm and the memories flooding back of original Zelda games, just in the world and the conversations and the characters, and the format of open world with dungeons has kept me going, and I'm so glad it has, because even though it's that jarring at the beginning, once you get rolling, it just keeps rolling and snowballing into bigger and better things. And again, that's even just as the little through the game that I am. So, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I can't wait for you to check this one out.
Yeah.
I did not think this was going to be a top 10 contender. I was like, oh, I'm going to play it. You know what I mean? I feel almost obligated to play a new Zelda game when it comes out, but I did not expect to love it as much as I am. It really feels like something special.
Yeah, I gotta pick it up for sure.
Yeah. All right, before we...
I was waiting for you to say that you were going to drown Zelda with the iron boots by accident. I did that plenty of times. Why can't I do this? Why can't I breathe?
Well, you gotta put on the
I don't have the blue tunic.
Yeah,
I don't have the tunic.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. The clothes make the man.
Right.
I want to go back and replay Ocarina of Time and see if that temple was really as hard as I remember it being, or if it was just annoying.
In my experience playing, Ocarina not too long ago, it's so much tedious menu going in and out of to get the boots on and off and stuff. That sucks. But otherwise, I think it's actually a pretty fun dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my 2 cents.
Well, moving on, before we get to our topic this week, I got a couple of reviews to talk about with Mark Szymanski, who stopped by. So we'll play those for you right now. Mark Szymanski, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Scott. How are you tonight?
I am doing all right. A little bummed. Our Packers lost today, but that's for another podcast. We're not going to bore anybody that doesn't like football with football.
Yep.
But we're going to instead talk about 2 games that you've been reviewing. By the way, Mark has reviewed 20 games for us so far this year alone. Just for comparison's sake, I've reviewed 20 games. Alyssa has reviewed 20 games. I'm doing all the best I can just to stay in league with Mark, one of our, quote, contributing writers. So Mark loves to review games, and he does great work. But I want to talk to you about the 2 games you've been playing. This first one, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, developer Unknown X and publisher Alliance Arts, because very Japanese, so I apologize. But it looks like Touhou, DANMAKU, KAGURA, Phantasia Lost. And you're playing this on Switch.
Yes.
But it is also PC. And I watched this trailer. I saw remnants of a rhythm game, but I could not make heads or tails of what is going on. Please enlighten me, because I was so confused.
It is so much reading that I would call it a novel in video game form with rhythm game parts.
Okay. So this is an Alyssa game. This is a visual novel.
I would call it more of a visual novel if there was moving parts. The parts with all the words, it's basically a static background. There's no pictures. It's like words on a page that you're reading. There's a couple of segments here and there where characters will pop up. I don't understand why it switches back between the 2 parts. Maybe they didn't want to code all of the images. But there's a lot of reading, Scott.
Okay.
So much reading. You want to teach your kids how to read in school? Give them this game, because the game part is kind of like a reward for reading everything in between.
So are there like dialogue choices, or are you just straight reading and then just moving on to the next section?
It is all a big giant novelization, and then you get to an enemy and you face them with the rhythm, and then once you beat them, there's more words.
So with all this dialogue, there's got to be a decent story going on here. What is the story?
Oh yeah, there's a story. It's the character that you control, who I'm not even going to bother with the names, but the character that you control, she has the ability to learn some kind of magical song that can bring balance back to the world.
Okay.
So you need to defeat all of these enemies and go from town to town and help out other people in each of these towns in order to learn all you need to know in order to learn the major song that you need to sing at the end. I hope I said that accurately.
So you're kind of like collecting pieces of a song as you go until you have the whole thing, and then use that at the end?
That might be a good way to say it. I haven't really deciphered. There's not like an inventory where you see your progress on it. So that's a good way as any to say that's what you're doing, is you're collecting pieces of it. I would have thought that you're just making life skills that you need in order to get to this final song. Okay.
So tell me about the rhythm sections, because, in the trailer, I was reminded of, rhythm games like Guitar Hero or even just like the little mini games that I play in some games. What's going on here?
It is a rhythm game. It's very similar to Guitar Hero, and I tell you, it is fun. The music is great. The graphics are great. If you're going to play it on Switch, y'all, I do not recommend using the buttons. You need to know 6 different buttons, and they get pushed at different times. I chose the touchscreen instead. It was so wonderful with the touchscreen.
I was going to ask because when I watched the trailer, one of the note highways is like 6 notes.
Yep.
And I'm like, I played Amplitude back in the day, and I was able to get down 3 buttons. In that game, you have to use like the shoulder buttons.
Yep.
And one was right, one was left, and then one was middle. That was easy, but I could not wrap my head around how you're going to do that with buttons. So now that I know that there's a touchscreen, that makes me a little bit more interested.
Yes. And then some of the enemies, not only do you have to push buttons, but you need to use your Joy-Cons, the control sticks at the same time as you're pushing the buttons. So that in itself is pretty difficult. But when you do use it with the touchscreen, it's a little more tolerable. I mean, it was already too difficult for me with just buttons on the Switch.
The touchscreen is a lifesaver for this game.
It is. For me, it's especially. Maybe some of y'all are better at button pushing than I am. And for that, you are wonderful, and I envy you. But for me, touchscreen all the way. So I couldn't imagine what it's going to be like on PC.
Now that I know it's touchscreen, it totally reminds me of that game on DS called Rhythm Heaven. Do you remember that game?
Yes, I do.
I thought that game was rad, and this sounds like that just kind of taken to a different level. Like that meets Guitar Hero, but it looks like there's a couple different types of rhythm games. It's not just Guitar Hero, right?
Correct. Yeah. So the base of it is the button pushing, and that is the vast majority of your enemies. Is a Guitar Hero style slider with you have to hit the buttons at the right time. You get more points if you get it like spot on. They call it brilliant, I think. And then of course you get less points if you hit it, but you're late or early, things like that. Just kind of like Guitar Hero was.
So is there a fail state, or does the story just progress no matter how you do?
There is fails. You can lose to the enemies, but I have not lost to one yet. And
look at you go.
Well, no, I put it on easy. You know me. I should really try a couple of them on the harder levels, because on easy, you said there's 6 panels. On easy, it doesn't get any higher than 5. Maybe I would like to get that little bit of extra skill on there just to see how well I do with the touchscreen.
Some of the other ones look like almost like bullet hell, like shmup style gaming, like you were dodging things, or what was going on there?
And that's what I was talking about, where you have to use the control sticks as well as the button pushing for the rhythm parts. On easy, it's not that big of a deal. I kind of at the third time I went through it, and my wrists were getting kind of sore from playing it. So I gave up on the button pushing and just gave up on the control sticks and just decided to do the button pushing, and I still didn't lose. So maybe that's a symptom of being on easy.
Okay. How's this going to work on PC? Can you just you're using the keyboard?
I hope that you could use the keyboard, and I really hope that you can map the buttons, because some of the enemies are quick button pushes. And if you don't know the buttons that you've mapped, like I'm looking at my keyboard right now, and I would probably choose ASD and JKL for the 6 buttons. And that way I could at least dance on the keyboard with my fingers. That might be a little bit easier than the Switch.
So again, the game is called Touhou DANMAKU KAGURA Phantasia Lost. Are you recommending people check this one out?
If you don't mind a lot of reading and you are a fan of rhythm games, absolutely.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the second game, which I saw this trailer and immediately reached out to you and said, I think Mark would like this game. Because for those that don't know, Mark actually is big into NASCAR video games, correct?
Yes.
He actually does a league, and I think he does a podcast all about NASCAR racing. Am I remembering correctly?
It's for the members of the iRacing league that I am in. So I get a listenership of about 25 to 30 people a week.
Gotcha.
But it's worth it. Then my co-host and I have a lot of fun with it.
Very cool. So anyway, the game that you're checking out for us is called #Drive Rally. This one comes from Pixel Perfect Dude. That's the developer and the publisher.
Ooh.
You're playing it on PC.
Yep.
But it is also available on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. On those platforms, it'll be available in 2025, but you can play it on PC right now. So tell me what this is, because it looks like cel-shaded drift racing in the desert to me.
Yes. That is one of the levels anyways in the desert. There's also a level in Germany that's more mountainous in the background. And then there's a couple other levels as well. I'm still pretty early on in the game, but I've been having a fair amount of fun with it.
So, I mean, I'm not big into racing, so I'm like struggling with like what questions to ask. But when I do play a racing game, what attracts me to them is some kind of progression where I'm not just, getting into a race and doing it, but, I finish a race and it gives me points towards something and I'm working towards something. Is that something present here?
Yes, and that is in essence the basis of a rally racing. So you race in stages. So you have a whole level, let's call it, because we're in video games here, and there's might be 3 races to that level, and it's a rally. So you finish stage 1, and then you finish stage 2, and your combined times is what makes up the total time for the rally. So you might have the 10th best time in stage 1, but if you have like say the best time in stage 2, your combined total, you're up to like 3rd place at that point, and then you still have a shot to win the overall rally.
Gotcha.
Where this one is a little bit different than other games I've played in the past, especially racing games. Can't really call this a racing game because as far as I've gone, there are never any other cars on the track.
So just time trials?
It's just time trials.
Okay.
And
how does it control?
The controls are wonky. I don't care much for the remote. I use my steering wheel because it allowed me to use my steering wheel, which surprised me. But I had to turn the steering wheel almost a full 360 to get the car to properly turn in that direction. So as soon as I had that trouble, I was like, nope, no steering wheel for me. I'm going back to the keyboard. And keyboard is where it controlled the best.
Okay. Very cool. Now, in the trailer, it makes it look like characters are a big thing in this game. Like they seem to focus on some of the people that are like running the races and things like that. Is that a big part of the game?
I will update you on that one. So far, no. Okay. So far, the most characterization that you get is your coach, for lack of a better word, who pipes in to tell you which turns are coming and what level of a turn. So if he says left 3, you know it's going to be a pretty sharp turn. Left 1 is just a slight left turn. Is
that like a language that you're familiar with from playing racing games?
Not like that, but you get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then they lean into the different cultures and areas. So the one in Germany in the mountains, the guy gets on there with an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, like, "Oh, you have to turn left, dude." It's pretty funny. It's comical. And then you go to the one in Texas, and he's got the big Southern drawl, and they lean into those characters. But I remember what you're talking about in the trailer, and so far those scenes haven't happened. There's never been any cutscenes so far. You just jump right into racing.
So are you recommending people check out #Drive Rally?
It's fine. If you're a big fan of those types of race games, absolutely give it a try. You might have a good time with it, but there's definitely better ones out there. And gosh, that just makes me feel sick to say it out loud. I hate crapping on people in their work.
It looks really cool. I thought the trailer made it look like the drifting looked fun, and the art style is a style that I'm not used to seeing in racers.
The art style is great. The graphics are great. The game itself is pretty good, but it's kind of one note right now.
Okay, fair enough. Again, that is #Drive Rally. Shout out to Evolve PR for letting us try out that game. I also should have given a shout out for Stride PR for providing us the code for Phantasia Lost. So, Mark, as always, it is a pleasure to chat with you, man. Thanks for checking out these games. I'm already looking forward to your next one.
Right on. I'll be there.
All right, we'll catch you next time, okay?
See ya.
Thank you, Mark. As always, it is a pleasure to talk with him. He is doing some good work for us over here at the Gaming Outsider. We've got a new member over on Facebook I'd like to introduce, which, again, can be found at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. Robert J. Pierce joined the group, and I've actually been doing some DMing with him. Don't forget about our Discord, and please drop us a review on your podcast app of choice. If you do it on Apple Podcasts especially, I will make sure to read your review on the air. Lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our episodes as well as our written content. And we have a new written review from Chris Owens. He did a written review for Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports. You heard his review last week. All right, again, that is all at thegamingoutsider.com. And now we're going to jump into our From the Outside In topic. It's the first episode of the month, which means we do our monthly tradition of asking the Go community for video game-related questions for us to answer on the show. This week we had a lot of questions that weren't gaming-related, and that's okay. So let's jump right into it. Jacob, you're our guest. Why don't you read the first one for us?
Well, our friend is back. Mark Szymanski has 2 questions. Do you say soda, pop, or other? And what is your favorite soda, pop, or other? And if not carbonated soft drinks, what's your favorite drink?
I mean, I say pop. I'm from Wisconsin. We say pop. But I've started to say soda on occasion. I don't know why.
You're from Wisconsin?
Yeah.
It's just
for how long?
I thought you were an Illinois guy.
I grew up in Whitewater, Wisconsin.
Oh.
And then that makes the Packer thing make sense now.
I like how this is revelatory for everybody that knows you. Clearly, your wife is gonna be listening to this episode and go, "I had no idea it was from Wisconsin."
She's the one that's from Illinois and still a Packer fan. She's lived in Rockford her entire life.
You're just so proud of Rockford that I assumed you were born and raised.
I did go to school here for 2 years. I was here for, first grade and second grade.
Okay.
Actually, kindergarten as well. Kindergarten, first, and second grade. I was in Rockford.
You moved away and then came back.
Yes.
Sorry to hear that.
So what do you guys say, soda or pop?
Soda, I guess. I don't drink a lot. I guess so. Yeah, I guess soda. I was just about to say I don't drink soda. So, I don't go out of my way to go buy it, so it's not in the house usually. So
Jacob calls his MGDs.
Miller Genuine Draft?
That's the next question.
Is it okay?
The champagne of beers?
No,
that's High Life.
MGD.
Oh, you're right.
High
That
Life.
is High Life. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
You're getting your crappy beers mixed up.
Right.
Whoa. Let's not get carried away. As for me, I say soda. I was raised on pop because I was also raised in the Midwest. But I think I just listened to so many, video game shows like On the Spot, if you remember that. And all those guys are always West Coasters. So I feel like soda just kind of got ingrained in me at a certain point. Maybe that's what's happening to you, Scott. You're listening to these podcasts of Jeff Ganata and the like. Maybe their coastal elite soda term is bleeding in.
Maybe. As long as you don't say sody.
Oh, that's gross.
I hear someone say sody and I just get really uncomfortable.
I mean, I guess
I smell sodies.
Well, that's weird.
What's your favorite soda or pop? I think I know. I can assume Zach's.
Mountain Dew.
What's your assumption, Scott? I'd love to know.
Baja Blast.
Whilst I love a good Baja Blast,
I was close.
I reserve that for Mountain Dew. I reserve that for Taco Bell. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. My favorite soda is Dr. Pepper cream soda.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a little combo thing. I almost always have a 12-pack in the fridge ready to go. I love Dr. Pepper cream soda.
I actually like Diet Dr. Pepper. I prefer Diet Dr. Pepper to regular Dr. Pepper, believe it or not. I think it tastes better.
Yeah, I've met people like you, and I'm always wary of them.
I'm not like that with other Diet Colas, like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, no.
Yeah. No, Diet Dr. Pepper is the best of the diets, but it helps that Dr. Pepper is the best of the colas.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, what about you, Jacob?
I will also go with Dr. Pepper. If I have my choice of drink, I don't drink anything else. I try to...
I'm Mountain Dew.
I don't drink a lot of Coke. Actually, never mind.
Is it with beer? Is it when you have a MGD in one hand and a Coca-Cola in the other?
I was talking about nose candy, but no, never mind.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, well, of course. Who doesn't love a little sody up the nose?
I didn't know if it counted or not, but the Kickstart, grape flavors is probably like my favorite. I just genuinely like the taste of those, but I don't know if is that considered soda?
Probably not.
Or is
that probably not.
Energy drink.
Yeah,
energy drink.
But I just know you love them. What do you have because when I'm not drinking soda, I usually just drink black coffee. So do you? What's your favorite non-soda drink, if I may ask?
I mean,
I
drink coffee every day.
Okay.
But I don't drink it black. I do French vanilla cream and sugar.
Yeah, that's odd. Wasn't trying to judge. You're being visited by a specter of some kind.
I am.
Jacob, what's your favorite non-soda drink? Like water? You a big water guy?
Sweet tea.
Okay.
Sweet
tea. You know what? You kind of Yeah, you give me some sweet tea energy for sure.
Like you make your own, or are you like a McDonald's sweet tea kind of?
Oh, gross. No.
Oh, that's right. You're like hate McDonald's. I forgot.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't normally
so
make my own, but I have access to sweet tea when I want it.
I remember as a kid, sun tea was a thing. You guys ever make tea in the sun?
No. The hell are you talking about?
It must be a Wisconsin.
Must be a Wisconsin thing.
I think it
Yeah,
might.
like
This
you-
might be just a Clark household thing.
No. Like you get it's like a big clear jar, and you put the tea bags inside that with ice, and you put it on the outside, and the sun literally cooks it.
There's not enough accent going on there. So
Sorry.
you get this big jar and you fill it with the tea and you put it outside in the dang old there sun there and go cook it.
What the hell accent is that?
I don't know. It was like half Boomhauer, half Bon Jovi or something. I don't know. Let's go on to the next question, Zach.
Weirdo. Yeah, no problem. Tim Paulin asks, favorite alcoholic beverage? Do you have a favorite brewery or distillery?
My go-to is
Beer.
Founders All Day IPA.
Oh,
That's pretty much my go-to. I've got 2 cases of it in the fridge right now. But I'm kind of a beer snob as well. I love trying out new beers, so I'm always looking for something. But All Day is great because it's cheap, tastes good, and it's got a low ABV, so I can drink a lot of them without getting too silly.
so you can hammer away on them.
That's why they're called All Day, because you can drink it all day.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Mm-hmm.
What about as for me, whiskey, neat.
Nice. Are you a Scotch or Irish whiskey? Or
If
bourbon?
I'm pretty open to any, but any wheat whiskey usually is what gets me the most excited. Like
Nice.
my go-to would be Maker's Mark. In terms of the accessible stuff, I guess. Otherwise,
Have you ever done a tour of a distillery?
No, I have not. I've wanted to.
You've got plenty by you. I would highly recommend doing it at some point because I've been to a couple, and each one I learned something crazy every single time.
Do they come with tastings as well? A tour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never been on a wine or brewery or distillery where you don't get tastings.
I've never done a tour, so I was just fishing.
There was
for
one
info.
I did when I think it was in Kansas City, where they gave you a sample of whatever whiskey. They said, don't drink it all. Drink just a small bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tasted it, and they do the whole, like, it sounds pretentious, but they do they tell you how to move it around in your mouth and things like this to get like on different parts of your tongue.
Right.
And we did that, and then he came around with an eyedropper and put just a tiny drop of water in everybody, just like very, very small, and told us to swirl it around and do the exact same thing. It was like drinking a different whiskey. It was insane.
Interesting.
Like vastly different
Opens
tasting
it
whiskey,
up.
just with yeah.
Yeah. I do really love bourbon, just for the record. It's good stuff.
I'm an Irish whiskey guy myself.
Yeah.
But Jacob, what about you?
I would say my least favorite beverage is Founders All Day. It's really low ABV. Tastes like perfume.
Right.
I was forced to drink it.
You have to drink it all day just to get a little buzz, So
Right.
Where's the fun?
That's
of that?
why it's called All Day. I don't want to.
So funny story. Last summer when we were down at the Lyran Club, working in the hot, in the heat, I supplied the beer, and I had no idea that he did not like IPAs, and he never once said, "Hey, could we get some MGD?" He just drank all day IPA
Because he's a good guy. I would do this. I would do
summer.
the same thing.
So my favorite alcohol beverage is an open one. But no, I'm a Captain and Coke kind of guy. I will go and I'll get double shots and drink that.
Hell yeah.
It's hard to say a favorite brewery or distillery. Can I give you a favorite winery, Tim? There's a
Gross.
winery up in Milton, Wisconsin called
Gross.
Hello,
Back
this
to
is
Wisconsin.
This is Tim Paulin here, and I'll take that answer. Favorite winery sounds great.
Why did Tim turn Cockney?
I don't know. I don't know. He just came into the recording. I don't have a clue what he's doing here. He was just like,
There is a winery up in Milton, Wisconsin called Timber Hill winery that I actually subscribe. I have a monthly membership, so we go up there once a month, and they give us bottles of wine, and we have tastings, and it's great.
You said once a month you go?
Well, it's a monthly subscription.
Okay.
And each month, the level that we're at gets you 2 bottles of wine.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Like, we haven't been in like 3 months, so when we go up there, we'll have 6 bottles of wine waiting for us.
Oh, they actually keep it? It's not like you don't use it, you lose it situation?
Correct.
That's
which
cool.
is nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's just they actually built a brand new facility. You can actually sit out there and like look over the vineyard, and staff is really nice, and they make wine cocktails. I had a wine old fashioned that I was skeptical about, but it was actually really good.
I'm skeptical hearing about it.
It's really tasty. I mean, you don't think of it as an actual old fashioned because it's not, but
right.
It's like a wine version of it. It's really good.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you're a wine drinker, but if you're ever up here, I will take you up there, man. It's really nice.
No, I worked at one fancy restaurant in my life, and I think it burned wine out of me because we had a sommelier on staff, so we had to try a different wine every shift.
Ooh.
So I'm all good on wine, I think, forever, probably.
Oh, that's too bad. This isn't fancy wine, though. Like,
box wine.
Box wine.
They just pour it into a bottle, though, and it becomes fancy.
There you go.
Swirl it in your mouth. Spit it out. Now it's fancy.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys have anything else you want to?
Got really dirty quick. I'm sorry.
Well, as I've never been to a brewery or distillery, I do not have a favorite.
But I mean, like, if you were gonna go to the store and buy a beer and you see like a brand, like, do you have a go-to brand?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. Again, yeah. No.
Apparently, Lagunitas in Chicago is pretty cool.
Lagunitas? You said Lagunitas?
Whatever.
Yeah. I do like Lagunitas beer. Very good.
You know what? I do love a 312.
Do you?
Yeah.
Goose Island?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. The next question comes from Tim Thane. He says, how about some random positivity? What do you love most about your life or yourself? Zach, what do you love about yourself?
Whoa. Well, that's just a question. I don't know. That's impossible to answer. Come on. But about life, I don't know. I love that, I finally feel happy. So that's good.
That's good.
I'm sure there's some specifics. It's just nice to, took over 30 years to get there.
I think it was a poor choice to start with Zach. He's about to get married. We should have gone with the other 2 guys that have been married for a while. We could have shit sucks, blah, blah, whatever, don't do it. Like,
well, no, because this is supposed to be positive. I thought.
It is. That's why.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you? What are you happy about with life right now?
Oh, jeez. There's a new Monster Hunter. Yes.
Sweet.
That's about it. I mean, I'm a genuinely happy guy. I make the most out of any situation, even if it's bad. So, I mean, nothing really gets me down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mom's not dead, so that's cool. Like, there's nothing dramatic that's happening that makes me sad or anything.
That's good.
No comment about living moms, I'll tell you. Yeah. Anyway, Scott, what about you? You know what? I love that. I feel like I finally figured myself out. How about that? That seems positive.
Like the Western thing?
Yeah. just who I am in general, I guess.
Yeehaw!
Dickhead.
Is it West? Is the wedding Western themed?
If I had my way.
Are you gonna ride off into the sunset?
No, but I am bringing my hat. So.
You get married in your hat?
No, well, probably not married, but it will be there for the evening.
Nice.
For photos and the such. I just meant in general. Figured
it's just gonna be in the extra chair that's in the hotel room, just sitting there staring at the bed.
That's right.
The hat, not you.
I'm gonna use everything in that room on my wedding night. All right.
Oh my goodness.
What about you, Scott?
Boy. I mean, the easy low hanging fruit is that I'm about to host a video game convention in Rockford. It genuinely feels cool now that we've done this 3 times. to not start from the bottom every single time. I've got a list of contacts, and I can reach out, and I've got media contacts. I've got contacts with the city that are helping us out. Restaurants that are letting me advertise there. And I've got, friends like Jake that are willing to put in some extra effort and do whatever we can to get the word out there. And it just makes me feel so happy, as stressed out as I am right now, that if we do this again next year, it's going to be even that much easier, because it will be the first time that we will have done it at the same place. The floor plan is already done. We have the context there. Just like every time this happens, it's going to get a little bit easier. And I'm really looking forward to when it's done. I feel like I'm going to get a little piece of my life back, because I feel like every day, now that the deck is officially done, I don't have to come home and work on the deck anymore, and I don't have to worry about R2V2 at the end of the month. I'm going to really enjoy Halloween this year. I'm just going to sit back and sit on my new deck with some Irish whiskey and a movie. It's going to be great.
A little scary movie on the deck.
Dude, I'm really looking forward to that. Got a little fire pit. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Can't
the
wait.
real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll own it. The Western thing does play a major role. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
I wasn't making fun of you.
All right,
I was just,
okay.
I didn't know if it was like a finding yourself kind of thing, or I don't know if you were being philosophical, or if you were speaking specifically about realizing that you love Westerns.
Yeah. No, it plays a role. I was looking for my thing for most of my life, but anyway, whatever.
Westerns?
Hey man, everyone's got this thing, okay? All right, Monster Hunter, Monster of the Wilds boy over there.
Jake, you got the next one?
Oh, let's see. Where?
Drew Ross.
There it is. I found it. I can read.
He's too many all days in. He just can't read the format anymore.
Yeah. Oh, God.
He had 17, so he's starting to finally feel a little something.
Right. I was kind of getting dizzy in my chair just a little bit.
Yeah.
Drew Ross, if you could go back and watch any 3 movies in theaters for the first time, which would you choose and why?
Oh, man.
Scott.
I want to relive to this day still might be my favorite movie of all time. The first time I saw Fight Club, nobody would go see it with me. Saw it in the theater by myself.
Sad. Well, you know what? That kind of actually speaks to the movie's themes,
right?
That's kind of funny.
But here's the crazy part, man. I was the only one in the theater.
Really?
There was nobody else seeing that movie. I sat in the theater by myself and watched Fight Club for the first time. And then that sounds sad, like you're saying. It was kind of awesome, dude. It was, especially with how ominous I felt at the end of that movie. Seeing it for the first time. So I definitely want to do that for the first time. I think The Matrix, I want to go see again. Again, I saw that one by myself, but it was a full crowd of, it was a packed house. There was no friends with me.
Right.
That'd be my number 2. And I would love to go back and see the original Star Wars back in 1977, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
77? Before I was born. Just because I would like to see that for the first time from 1977 eyes. And just watch the crowd just stare in awe at what they're seeing on screen, because that was just so new and fresh at that time. So those would be my choices. How about you guys?
Those are good choices.
What 3 cowboy movies do you want to go see in theaters, Zach?
this guy. I'm about to drop an F-bomb on this show. Yeehaw. Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Flint Creastwood movies.
Flint Creastwood, my favorite actor. Well, number 1, that came to mind was actually The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because it's my favorite movie, and I haven't seen it in the theater.
There you go.
And number 2 would be The Matrix, because it's one of my favorite movies, and I've never seen it in a theater. And those are both shames. And then number 3 would probably be Saw, because I remember, when I saw that movie for the first time, when it came out originally in the theater, I felt like my mind melted in a with the twist at the end, and just how the visceral nature of playing Jigsaw's game, of proving you wanted to live your life. I don't know, really connected to me at 13 or whatever when it came out. But that was an incredible theater experience, and seeing it with my brothers and my mom was fun. And it was a good time. It was a good time.
I didn't get to see that one in the theater. I saw that one at home, but it hadn't been spoiled for me, and it was still, what just happened?
We only saw it in the theater because my mom had a big crush on Carrie Elwes.
Really?
Yeah. So that's the only reason. Because I feel like I don't feel like the first one was that big on theater, right? I feel like it gained its momentum on home video,
on DVD.
Yeah.
Remember that box that it had with it with the liquid in it, the box art?
Yeah, we're talking about like the drippy blood, or
it had like a sleeve that you could put over that made it look like it was blood dripping down on the saw.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool.
It was cool. I mean, dude, home video used to be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, what are your three movies?
It's my turn.
It is.
Yeah. Do you want to see Paul W.S. Anderson's Monster Hunter movie in the theater?
The second one. I saw that in theaters.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I drove an hour away to see it in a really big
theater. How was it? Did it feel like you were really there with the monsters? No.
I liked the idea of how they did the movie, because they explained what the creatures are as they're going. Like, because the one character lives there and the other person's brand new there. So as you see new things, he's kind of like, oh, they do this. Oh, that's that. Oh, this, And I thought it was really cool. And then the direction they went with it I think just killed it. I don't want that. But anyway, they killed their sequel. Anyway, so my three would be one, The Boondock Saints.
Oh,
because I absolutely love that movie. I could probably say that movie word for word. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze.
Sure. Stone Cold classic.
Sorry, Scott. Was that funny?
I just, again, it's not what I would have expected.
I love that he said the full title. It was important you had the context of the subtitle.
Well,
I guess you don't want to confuse it with the second Michael Bay era one. Yeah. Fair enough.
But that was a fan favorite of mine when I was a kid, and I never saw it in theaters. But that movie's also why I love Vanilla Ice. Yeah. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Can you name a third song?
No.
He's only got the three, right? He's got Ice Ice Baby,
Ice Baby,
Go Ninja Go. Yeah, that's it, right? Or maybe just two. And
I
then
haven't listened to him in forever.
The theme song to his real estate show, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be the only three.
That's three. Yeah.
I named there it is.
And lastly, Scott, this is probably going to come out of complete left field if you can't mention any of the other ones. The original Digimon movie.
Dude, that movie is awesome.
Because in the very beginning of that movie, they had this short little clip. It's called Our War Game, and it was the first time that Omni-Man, made an appearance in the universe. And I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, and it was just, it was so awesome to see on the big screen, and I just wanted to relive that again.
Yeah, he's fighting that virus Digimon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that movie has an incredible soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah. What a good movie. No joke.
Yeah. The little short in the beginning, the Our War Game, isn't actually like part of the actual movie.
Right.
In the actual movie, they start bringing in the egg Digivolve. They start bringing in the eggs for the second season or whatever, and it's just weird. It's just an off.
Yes, the movie we got is like 3 Japanese movies cut up in a different way, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, it works.
It worked. I was sold.
Who's up? Zach, are you up?
Yeah, that sounds right. Doc Sampson writes in, a game of the year top 3 that you've played that came out this year. Go.
All right. If you want me to go,
get out of here. Stock. So aggressive,
Right.
What about you, Scott? I mean, you have.
I mean, this is like I don't even have to think.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia.
Mm-hmm.
Stop thinking.
Balatro.
You say he's kind of thinking, right?
Well, I forgot. I had it all in my head. What's the number 2 that? Oh, Astrobot. I mean, the no question. Those are my top 3.
Yeah, I think my top 3 right now would be Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, FF7 Rebirth, and Wild Bastards, probably.
Rebirth, really?
Yeah, that's an incredible game.
I enjoyed it quite as well. I didn't think it was number 2 material.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are in no particular order. These are just where I'm feeling right now.
Okay.
Astrobot might end up in my top 3 as well. Just gotta send these things. But yeah, was Rebirth not amazing? Am I wrong?
I thoroughly enjoyed Rebirth.
Yeah.
I put a lot of hours into that game when I didn't have time to put a lot of hours into games.
Yeah, that game's it's pretty cool. Pretty great mini game collection, Phantasia 7.
Oh yeah, that too.
What about you, Jacob?
So I don't play a lot of new games. I'm usually always going back to games that I enjoy. So I don't have a lot of good games or my top 3, as you would say. Helldivers is up there. Helldivers 2, EDF, and then the crime scene investigation game or the cleanup game. Those are the 3 actual new games that I've played this year.
Oh, wow! Did Warframe have an expansion this year?
Warframe has an expansion like every 3 months or something.
Well, there you go. See, Warframe.
The Warframe expansion. I think it's called it's something Eaters. I forget what it is. Lotus Eaters.
No.
Yeah, just nuts. I don't know.
Just
anyway,
eating those flowers, bruh.
That's not a flower.
I beg to differ.
Oh well.
Anyway.
Anyway. Don't have a lot of games. Sorry.
It's okay.
I wish I could spice things up for you, but I can't.
Last question. Gonna follow Doc. This is Paul Hines. Is gonna follow Doc with a flip side. Top 3 game disappointments so far this year. Yin and the Yang. I can only really think of 2.
What are they? I assume
Squire.
I assume we share the Plucky Squire.
Yeah, like I was all set for that to be like a game of the year contender for me. Skull and Bones. Like I kind of loved the ship combat of the Assassin's Creed 4 and was it what was the other one that did it? Rogue. Loved that.
Yeah.
Thought I was going to be all about doing that, and I had zero interest in playing more than the beta or whatever I played. I'm struggling coming up with a third one that was like super disappointing. I'd have to go to my list probably of games. Well, come back to me. You guys go.
Well, mine goes back to my favorites because of Helldivers. I loved that game on release, and then when they tried to do the whole PlayStation thing, it just killed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the PSN requirement thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The login. That was such a disappointment. If they would have just rode that wave, they could have done everything just fantastic. But whoever's in charge over there that decides to put the nerfs on the guns to make them weaker, can't be used correctly, and then the whole login situation, it ruined the game because it felt like it had such a buildup that was coming because you had a super involved player base, you had a super involved dev team, and then they just threw it all away. And you don't get that with games a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it has been unbelievable to hear the Helldivers community just like turn on the game.
Yes.
It was so positive earlier in the year, but I don't know. It sounds like maybe they're starting to try to get some of that goodwill back by rolling back some of the nerfs or whatever, but
no. Not when they're adding new content that's behind paywall. It hasn't even been a year yet.
Well, adios goodwill.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess for me, Plucky Squire for sure was pretty disappointing. A fine game, but we were so excited for that game, Scott.
I know.
So
genuinely excited.
What was that? What was it lacking? Why didn't you guys like it?
Well, if you listen to the show, you'd know. But but it's, assuming you're not caught up, the game never lets you play it. It holds your hand. It holds your hand from hour 1 to the final minute. It is always telling you what to do, when to do, not letting you go off script at all.
And explore, experiment.
Yeah, and I'm all I'm all for a linear game, but even in a linear game, we're just kind of going down a hallway. They usually let you go down the hallway. They don't stop to tell you, hey, man, you should probably walk down the hallway. And then you get away half, and they're like, hey, we made pretty good progress on this hallway. And then you get to the end of the hallway, and they're like, hey, I'm so glad we got to the end of the hallway. I'm like, all right.
The sad thing is he's not exaggerating.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Otherwise, I would say Hellblade 2 was a disappointment. I don't feel like they adequately explained that it was just the same game again in the marketing. It felt like they were intentionally hiding that and letting you believe it was going to be more of a full-fledged game.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when I did try to come to grips with what it is rather than what I wanted it to be, it is still just not as interesting as the first Hellblade, and they flub it all up with the ending anyway.
It was so disappointing, I didn't even play it.
That's how disappointed you were.
I mean, it's not fair because
you haven't played it.
I haven't played it, yeah, but I just lost all interest in playing that game.
Right, and then I think my biggest disappointment of the year is Xbox as a brand.
Wow,
they had they finally had it all lined up, and they just gave up. You know, like because of their inability to deliver a frickin' video game at any point. PlayStation now is in the height of the hubris that they were in the PS3 era. So now PlayStation, which I care about more, is starting to act the fool because no one's keeping them in check. So they're charging $300 extra for a pro model of a console because they know they can. And and most of their output is a remix of games that came out less than 10 years ago.
Right.
And no doubt, they're going to have games that'll deliver and they'll be incredible. I have no doubt about that. Ghost of Yetee, right, just got announced. But if Xbox actually delivered the way that they were lining things up, this would be a totally different world. But they floundered it at every chance. And now they basically conceded to PlayStation, right? Because they're just putting their games out there. So it's over.
Fighting words.
Sorry,
most disappointing game is Xbox.
Yeah, because they were playing the most difficult game of all, the console war game, and that sure does seem like it's over. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, they somehow bounce it back. But I would say, hey, our major tentpole exclusive of the year is coming to PlayStation is probably not a good sign.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks to everybody for the questions. As always, really love those episodes. Next week, we are going to do something we don't normally do. We are taking a week off. We got a lot to do in preparation for R2V2. Some of us are not going to be available, so rather than try to scramble and throw something together, we're going to take a much-needed break from recording. I'm going to talk to Kevin about potentially putting together, an episode of some of our favorite topics from over the past years, and maybe put those together as bonus content. But we're not going to have a live episode until after R2V2. So this is the last time you'll hear us. So this is the last time you hear the ad for R2V2 if you listen to this episode. So
Scott hopes to see you there.
Please come see all of my amazing work.
Yes, please come see Jake's amazing work. Mostly been him. I've just been kind of telling him what to do. That's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Oh, and when we do get back to new episodes again, we're going to talk about the appeal of live streaming. We were having this conversation before we started recording tonight. What is it that people enjoy about watching other people play games? Do you watch people play games? We want to learn about that a little bit. We want to hear from you. So stay tuned. It'll be another 2 weeks, but keep an eye on the socials. We'll get that out there. Thanks so much for listening. This episode of The Gaming Outsider was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. You can find his site at stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
I got nothing this week, man. Too busy.
I don't either. How about you, Jake?
I actually have something.
All right.
Surprising enough. The new season of Futurama has been kicking off, and I've been watching it, and it had to a rough start, but it seems to be going all right now. the writing seemed to get back into order, and it's not just filler episodes anymore.
I didn't know there was new Futurama.
It was canceled. Well, I mean, Futurama's been canceled like 5 times now.
Yes, yes.
It was canceled, brought to Hulu, and then Hulu was gonna get rid of it, and they did a huge breakdown and like shutdown of it, and then they brought it back again. So yeah, a couple of the first episodes were really a struggle to get through, but they seem to be pretty good now. Had some pretty good jokes in there.
Has any show lived and died as many times as Futurama? Probably not.
Family
right?
Guy.
Probably no.
Family Guy only died the once, right?
Let's say how many times did Family Guy get canceled?
Right.
It'd be canceled today for sure.
Right.
A different kind of canceled.
Right.
I mean, it's still on the air, so that's not true.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah, they're still making a new Family Guy.
I had no idea. I thought that I had no clue that show. I've not seen.
Family
Again, I only watched
the new Simpson.
Yeah, I only watch TV during football season, and I'm guessing Family Guy doesn't come out during football season.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So. I don't really have much of anything else either. Although I will say, something older film. I was rewatching Kill Bill.
Hell yeah.
This weekend, and that movie still holds up. It's in all its ridiculous reasons, but some of that cinematography is just so freaking cool.
I mean, that sword fight is insanely cool against Crazy 88.
Yeah. So good. All right, guys, we are out of here. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Jacob Gunderson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.